people affected by the 2025 California wildfires.
Go to redcross.org to help.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. And now, WIS-TV traffic sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive on the Game Network.
All right, let's take one last look at your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Monday morning. A few accidents to report. Hugely in Blossom. I-20 eastbound at Bush River Road, I-20 westbound at Monticello, I-26 eastbound at exit 102, I-77 southbound at Percival. Cloudy today, high getting up to just 56. Tomorrow, showers, high of 48. Wednesday, showers with a high of 52. That's your traffic and weather on the early game.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on 107.5 The Game app.
Oh, 9 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here. Going to react to the Super Bowl. Jack, we're just talking about this. Wasn't exactly the most fun game in the world, and I think the result surprised probably everybody, maybe even in Philadelphia too. Didn't see that one coming.
No, man. I mean, look, we spoke out predictions the other day on Friday before the game, and I think both. I think with me, I was definitely leaning towards the Chiefs just because history, the three-peat and stuff. I think we were all expecting a good game. I mean, that's what we expect when these two teams are playing against each other, based on how the last one went a few years ago. But man, this was just utter domination. The Eagles were better in every facet of the game, and you got to tip your cap to them. They played a tremendous game last night from start to finish.
A lot of things to break down from this game. We'll look at all angles from both the Chiefs and the Eagles' perspective and see what this means going forward, not only for the Super Bowl, but for both teams. But first, it is 9 o'clock, and we do have to hit our 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm.
Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. Yeah, Super Bowl 59 last night in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Eagles stomp the Chiefs 40-22. It was one of those things, and look, everybody watches the Super Bowl, so I don't know who wasn't paying attention to this, but you look at that final score and be like, man, that's a pretty dominant win by the Eagles. The 18-point differential does not tell the story of just how physically dominating the Eagles, particularly their defensive front, was against the Chiefs the entire game. The Chiefs did not cross the 50-yard line till about 2 minutes to go in the third quarter.
And the craziest part about how good the Eagles were on defense yesterday, they didn't bring any blitz yesterday. That's the craziest stat yesterday.
Yep.
0% blitz, and they sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times. I mean, you just see the numbers at the end of the game, and you're like, oh, the Chiefs made a little bit of a game, right?
Sure.
I mean, this game was over probably by halftime, honestly, and I think Mahomes' stats didn't really start to pick up until the second half, kind of when the game was already out of hand. I mean, it was 34-6 at one point. So this game was never really close. And again, it really does start with the Eagles and the defensive approach they had in this game. They were flying around, making really good plays, and it started with making Patrick Mahomes a non-factor in this game, which for most part, I think he really just didn't do much in this game. It was probably the worst game of his career, in my opinion.
So there was conversation and concern going into the game about Joe Thuney playing at the left tackle spot, which we know that is the hardest spot to play in football. And just because you're a really good guard doesn't mean you're going to make a good tackle. And look, they've done fine with him up to that point at that position. But again, that's such a nasty defensive front. I don't think anybody saw it going that way, but it's like not surprising either when you see the end result. Like, yeah, a guy playing an atypical position for him against the nastiest defensive front in the NFL. Yeah, that's probably how that should go.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a great Eagles defensive line. Like, again, credit to Howie Roseman, credit to that management over there in Philly for putting together a really good defense. And that's how that is how you win through the draft. Like, they've had so many hits on draft picks so far. Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, I mean, you name it, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, players like that. But defensively speaking, I mean, they just made life so tough on that offensive line. And I think this is the problem with the Chiefs is that I don't think they're an offense that's built to play from behind. Mm-hmm. As good as Patrick Mahomes is, as good as Kelsey is, they don't have a stud wide receiver besides Xavier Worthy. Other than that, the run game isn't really there. And you're just seeing an offense that when times got tough yesterday, they just crumbled and they had a lot of 3-and-outs and, wasted drives yesterday.
I was thinking about this after the game last night, and we didn't really have this conversation going in, but a lot of times, especially for the Super Bowl, say, okay, what's the most likely outcome and what's the least likely outcome in terms of how the game could go in terms of like, okay, what is more likely, a Chiefs blowout or an Eagles blowout? What's more likely, a Chiefs close win or an Eagles close win? And I think we both, considering the line, it got down to 1 by the time the game started, was 1.5 for most of the 2 weeks leading up to that. I think we saw this game, and my score backed it up at 20-17 on Friday. There's going to be a close game either way because both teams very strong on defense, both offenses good, but I don't think we saw them as overly explosive outside of Saquon Barkley and what we figured he might be able to do on the ground. But, man, I did not see an Eagles dominating blowout where they put up 40 points themselves offensively. Well, I guess technically 34 because Cooper DeJean did have the pick 6, but 34 points offensively compared to essentially, I'll give the Chiefs 6. You know what I mean? The other 2 touchdowns were garbage touchdowns, but effectively 6 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it either. If you would have told me last night the Eagles are scoring that many points without Saquon Barkley doing really much, I mean, he only had 57 yards on the ground on 25 touches. And, I mean, he had some nice, some receiving yards and stuff, too, to finish with about, 100. But, like, honestly, he didn't do a ton last night, and you had to rely a lot on Jalen Hurts, who I think probably the best game of his career. It's funny how that works out. I mean, he really did step up and play well last night. But he had the 1 interception, but other than that, I mean, he was phenomenal last night. He's honestly a big part of why the Eagles were able to have so much success on offense.
And that's a credit to the Eagles coaching staff, Kellen Moore, and obviously the players on offense as well, because they have been not one-dimensional, but they've predicated themselves so much on Saquon Barkley doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the offense. I mean, look at Jalen Hurts' numbers this year. They're pretty pedestrian because he just hasn't had to do a whole lot because the running back game's been so good. And Steve Spagnuolo and the Kansas City defense keyed in on that and said, hey, we're going to take Saquon Barkley away. And for the most part, they did. He had 2 runs of about 9 to 10 yards. That was effectively it. Only 2 to 3 yards here and there pretty much for the rest of the game. He was able to catch the ball and get some extra yards that way, but not overly wow when it comes to the best offensive player for the Eagles. But again, the Kansas City defense could not slow down the pass game. And when Jalen Hurts needed to step up and make big plays, he made big plays. I thought the bomb to Devonta Smith, which effectively ended the game in a lot of people's eyes, like, huge throw. Great throw. Obviously read that well and really kind of went for the throat after that. I think it was a turnover on downs by the Chiefs right there at midfield. And, again, a very well-deserving MVP for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game last night. And his story's cool because obviously it goes back to his college years and stuff when he got benched in the national championship game with Alabama when they played against Georgia in the Tua game where they came back and stuff. And then, he goes to Oklahoma after that. And he's a second-round pick in the NFL draft. And then he has this great run and now to get and win the Super Bowl. So it's cool to see Jalen win it last night and all that. But overall, man, I mean, just a really great game for the Eagles. I mean, Cooper DeJean on his birthday having the pick six. The defense coming through multiple times, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown having touchdowns. Just a very good overall game last night. But again, it really was surprising just to see how bad Kansas City played, because they've come close to losing a handful of times this year. Mm-hmm. They've always been able to persevere, but I've never seen them get this rattled and blown out the way they did.
Well, and that was one of my biggest keys on Friday is because the only legitimate loss the Chiefs had during the regular season was to the Bills in that game where they were down by multiple scores and couldn't amount some crazy comeback in those last couple of minutes. I'm like, if you're the Eagles, you're going to have to make sure you're up by multiple scores within the last couple of minutes of the game to prevent the Chiefs from doing what the Chiefs do. And, man, they did that certainly in spades. At what moment for you was the game over? At what moment did you say there is no way the Chiefs are coming about, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl?
I think when Patrick started throwing, I think it was the second interception he threw. I'm just like, this guy is just not in sync tonight. He's not doing the stuff like the AFC title game, for instance. He did a great job of kind of exploiting the Bills defense and kind of running when he needed to, making the right throws and stuff. That's what we've been used to seeing from him. But last night, I mean, it's just he just didn't play well in general. It's just his feet weren't planted very well to make good throws. You saw a lot of off-target throws. And again, some catches should have been made. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's just like he just played awful last night. And so I think once he started throwing more interceptions and stuff, that's really when I noticed it. But honestly, man, probably by halftime, I was like, yeah, I mean, they could come back. A lot of time left. I mean, you know that well as a Falcons fan, but I just didn't see it happening last night. They just didn't have any rhythm. I tried to warn everybody there's no such thing as a safe Super Bowl lead. So even by I actually made the joke on Friday with Terry. I said, the Eagles could be up 48-0 at halftime, and we'd still be thinking, okay, well, the Chiefs have a path to come back at some point, right? And it ended up being half of that. It was 24-0 at halftime. But I still was like, because here's the thing. The Chiefs got the ball to start the second half. And I'm like, you go in the locker room, Andy Reid gets them fired up. If they come out, they score a touchdown and potentially get a 2-point conversion, suddenly it's a 2-score game, and now we got something going on. And when they immediately came out and went 3 and out once again, it's like, okay, well, maybe not. To me, and I just mentioned a moment ago, when Hurts hit Devonta Smith for the long touchdown right after, because here's the thing, when the Chiefs turn the ball over on downs at their own 45-yard line, you thought, okay, well, here comes the Eagles trying to go on a long drive, drain the clock, and get a score to really milk this thing. When they went straight for the throat on the first play and got it to Devonta Smith, I was like, okay, 34-0, now the game's over. Yeah, I mean, this game was just I just can't say I was expecting it, man. Like, I've never seen so many things go wrong for this team, and it's just kind of hard to process, honestly. Like, just in general, it's like you've seen Kansas City be so good for so long now, and they had a really bad game, I think, when Tampa beat them in the Super Bowl back in 2020. But honestly, man, I mean, this was probably worse, to be honest, because you're down 34-0. And yes, the score indicates you lost by 18 points, but guess what? You're doing against the Eagles backups. And I mean, it's just garbage time at that point. I mean, this game, the stats do not show how rough it really was. I mean, it was really a disaster for KC.
And similarly to that Super Bowl against Tampa a couple years ago, same thing last night. When you can't protect your quarterback, I don't care how generational he is, first ballot Hall of Famer, all that kind of stuff, when he doesn't have time, then you're going to struggle. And look, he did his best job he could running for his life, trying to make things happen, but they were in his face the entire game. And like you said, they never blitzed. They were getting home with 4 pretty much the entire time. They didn't need to bring linebackers downhill to put extra pressure on him because, again, they were just wreaking havoc in general. And, again, when you don't have time to throw and when you have as good of a secondary as the Eagles have, you're not going to get away with anything, and the Chiefs weren't able to.
No, I mean, it was a disaster in every sense of the word. And when you're missing your throws, you have no protection up front, it just leads to a catastrophe like we saw last night. And it's such a wasted opportunity, I feel like, for KC to not get that three-peat there, because you definitely felt like they had a good chance to do so. It's just they just could not even. I mean, this game was over, man, so quickly. Yeah,
and again, they're the first team to put themselves in position to do that in the 59-year history of the Super Bowl. So it's very rarefied air that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and try and start over again.
Yeah, they have a lot of things to kind of figure out this offseason, lots to figure out, and we'll see what happens for them.
We'll take a look at the Eagles coming up next. Let you hear from Nick Sirianni and what he had to say after the game as we continue to break down Super Bowl 59 on the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you on your Monday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Tyler Head here for our friends once again over at Twin Peaks. Fellas, Friday is Valentine's Day. I know, don't panic. It's okay. You still got time. In fact, if you're looking for something fun to do, not only on Valentine's Day, but the entire week, you can head on over to Twin Peaks because the scenic views are calling you to Sweethearts Week. Swing by for the scenic views wrapped in red and steal your heart specials at the Sweethearts Week costume party running today through Valentine's Day. If your lady wants to come and hang out as well, that's certainly okay too. Again, TVs as far as the eye can see, tons of delicious food, those 29-degree draft beers that will certainly steal your heart. So again, if you want to find a place to hang out, not only for Valentine's Day, but for a amazing sports experience any time of year, get down to Twin Peaks with our friends right down the street from us here in the Vista.
Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, reminding you that no gift communicates affection more perfectly than fine jewelry. So this Valentine's Day, why mess around? We have thousands of items in every price range, and if you don't know what to get, our staff can help you get exactly the right Valentine's Day gift. And this particular year, diamond studs are the hottest thing going. We have them starting with quarter-carat total weights for just $99. So come see us at Traditions on Sunset in Lexington and at Sand Hills across from the fountain.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips and Grayson Griner here for our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson, now that you and the family have settled into life after years in the bigs, I hear you've added to what Integrated Media had already done around the house. Tell us what makes your system so much fun to use.
Yeah, Jay, Integrated Media has taken care of us from day one. Everything they do looks fantastic, everything they do sounds fantastic, and everything runs seamlessly when it comes to our smart home. In today's day and age of streaming everything, having a strong Wi-Fi connection throughout the house is critical, and Integrated Media is the best in the business at setting you and your family up with everything you could ever need.
Now, I don't know about you, but having an outdoor system that looks and sounds like the indoors is better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, one of the perks of living in the Midlands of South Carolina is enjoying time outdoors virtually year-round. From weatherproof mounted televisions to outdoor speaker systems, Integrated Media is the standard when it comes to outdoor entertainment. They're the only people I would ever recommend when it comes to outfitting your smart home indoors or out.
Work with the best in the business, and that's our friends at Integrated Media. Grayson and I can't recommend them highly enough. See their work on Facebook and Instagram, then call them up at 803-948-8327 and get Integrated Media into your home today.
Flowers and chocolates are okay, but insanely clean home from Zerorez Carpet Cleaning is sure to impress your loved one. Only Zerorez uses ZR water to clean your carpets and other surfaces without harsh chemicals. To make things sweeter, they leave zero residue so your carpets stay cleaner longer. From now until Valentine's Day, get 2 rooms for free when you book 2 rooms for only $119. Call and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, or book online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union presents scenes from Palmetto Citizens job interviews.
Tell me, Emily, what makes you the right fit for our vice president of Getting Pumped role?
Well, I have 8 years of banking experience, and helping people get great rates makes me super excited.
Oh, can you elaborate?
Yeah, sometimes it's like a woo, other times it's more of a oh yeah!
Wow, just wow.
Palmetto Citizens. Feel the love. Federally insured by NCUA.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
Let's get it back. We're going to run some clock or maybe throw the dagger. Hurts going deep. Fly ball. Devontae Smith. He has got it. Touchdown.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher along with you here on your Monday, reacting to Super Bowl 59. Kevin Burkhardt on the call last night on Fox says that was the moment that ended it for me. Devontae Smith, 46-yard touchdown from Jalen Hurts with 2:40 left to go in the third quarter to make it 34-0. And now the Chiefs were able to go down the field and get a score right after that. But the game was effectively over then. And then a few garbage touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter made it closer than it really was as, again, the Philadelphia defense just physically assaulted the Kansas City offense for 4 quarters. And Patrick Mahomes, I think 6 was a career high in sacks that he'd ever taken in one game. I think he's a little sore today.
It felt like just literally one after the other Like it just felt like every other play, the dude was getting hit around or sacked or pressured. I mean, it was crazy last night. Again, no one has been able to do it to this guy consistently. I mean, Tom Brady's like the only guy that can actually beat this guy when it matters most. And it's funny that Brady is on the call last night for the game and when they lose. But yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think Brady was kind of enjoying it? Because we're talking about a three-peat. We're talking about Mahomes going for his 4th Super Bowl and starting to get in that conversation for a lot of people. Ooh, is he going to be better than Brady? And Brady's just sitting up there watching him get assaulted for 4 quarters.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. I've seen people talk about the GOAT debate and stuff and how Mahomes, if he wins last night, gets the three-peat, he kind of fast-tracks himself to potentially overtaking Brady at some point. But now he's got to do it the tough way. I mean, look, he's got 3 rings, but he's still got, a bunch more to even get close to Brady. But yeah, I think last night he was definitely probably enjoying it just to shut the GOAT debate down. I'm sure he cares about that stuff deep down.
Yeah. By the way, I've been critical of Tom Brady this year. I thought, especially considering the fact that he replaced Greg Olsen in the prime, Fox spot, I thought last night was his best game so far, and I think it helps that unlike Tony Romo, unlike some of these other guys that are in the booth calling a lot of these games, he's actually played in Super Bowls. And I think his perspective on what it's like playing in a Super Bowl and how it's different from a regular game, I think went a long way last night.
No, it makes such a huge difference. And I think Tom has definitely improved from week 1 until now. And look, me personally, I think Greg Olsen has done a phenomenal job at Fox as the, with Kevin Burkhardt and whatnot. I think he deserves to be calling a Super Bowl again. It's hard to say no to Tom Brady. So I'm glad Tom's doing a better job at this point.
Also, what was that score bug last night?
That was awful. Awful.
So awful. I had seen, because here's every network tends to debut a new score bug when they get the Super Bowl because you're on a 3-year rotation. So I don't know. I think it's CBS next year maybe. They'll probably debut a new one with their Super Bowl or NBC or whoever ends up getting it. And I knew Fox was going to do something different. And I had seen this leaked a couple of days before. But it looked so basic and so generic. I thought, well, that's just a placeholder. There is no way that's what the actual new graphics package is going to be for Fox Sports. Is it 1984? What are we doing? There was no substance or flair to that whatsoever. And look, I didn't love the last graphics package that they had, but at least there was elements of hey, here's the team logo. It looked better. That was terrible.
It just looks so basic. And I saw a joke last night that, Tom Brady had like that $800 million watch on last night. That's where Fox put the budget. And then they put the other 10% into the scorebook. It was just terrible last night. And you could see everyone ripping it apart at the beginning of the game. I mean, that thing looks so bad. That might be the worst one I've ever seen Fox put out, let alone in NFL history. I mean, that one was terrible.
They used to have the one that they debuted in 2017, which was just like the single color background and the team name, like Packers or Jets or whatever, and just like basic font. That one was pretty basic. I didn't hate that one necessarily, but it didn't really have much flair to it. And last night's was a step in the wrong direction in terms of just blah. And again, no substance or style to it. That I don't know if they'll adapt it before the season starts, but that's a heck of a thing to debut. That's a bold thing to debut in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, look, simplicity is not necessarily a bad thing. It can work in some cases, but when you see the reception it got last night, how can you not want to change that before the season starts? My worry is that it's just not going to change. It's just too plain, in my opinion. And I just don't like that there's the clear background behind. I think it's the score numbers. Like that's the issue to me, is that just do it all color in one or don't. I mean, I don't know. I thought it looked very off last night.
Yeah, and again, it almost kind of set the tone for what it ended up being. Not a fun Super Bowl. Like, again, if you're a Philly fan, you're probably feeling great today. But in terms of and I said this on Friday, I didn't care who won. I just wanted a good game to be able to come in here and talk about and say, man, this moment in the fourth quarter when this team did this or this team did that. And we got none of that because, again, the game was effectively over really by the middle of the second quarter. Little did we know. But for me, that dagger shot to Devontae Smith really ended it. But, yeah, the Chiefs, they stood no chance.
No, I mean, that was that was such a great throw by Jalen Hurts last night to Devontae Smith right over the top in the end zone. I mean, and there were just times where, Jalen really did have a great game last night, like 17 for 22 passing, 221 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Only took 2 sacks. And, again, he's so dominant with his legs, which I feel like proved to make such a big difference last night, because when you're in those third down situations and Jalen's able to scramble around and move, he will give you a good chance to get a first down. I mean, he had 72 yards on the ground last night. And, again, the other big thing that I know everyone loves to talk about, and we saw it on the first penalty of the game, are those penalties and how the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt with a lot of these calls. I got to be honest, it was fairly called last night. Like, the Eagles ended up having one more penalty, but the Chiefs didn't get away with literally anything in this game. So it's good to see, outside of that first call on A.J. Brown, the pass interference that really wasn't PI in my opinion, it's good to see this was an evenly called game. And I think you kind of see that reflected in the score too.
I think and look, when you have a blowout, the officiating ends up having nothing to do with it. I do think it's funny that the people that, the script writers are going to make sure Kansas City wins that game. That went out the window pretty quickly. I think both teams actually got called for pretty egregiously bad penalties early on in the game. You had the A.J. Brown pass interference that, okay, all right, I see what you're saying, but it wasn't the most egregious thing in the world. And then when the KC defensive back went up for the football, I think that was thrown to Dallas Goedert and just made contact with Goddard's helmet and got called for a personal foul on that. Like, that was so bad. And again, I go back to what I've said many times before. I'm not somebody that puts on the tinfoil hat and says, the league wants to make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs win. I think officiating is just terrible across the board. And again, you saw it go against both teams last night.
Yeah, look, I mean, officiating's been awful. It just so happens that when the Chiefs are as good as they are, people tend to notice a little bit more.
Well, especially when they play so many tight games.
Yeah. My thing is, I'm just glad, and again, it didn't even have an impact on the game last night, but I'm glad it was that way, where it really didn't seem to matter much because the Eagles played so well. But yeah, I mean, look, again, Philly deserved this game last night. I'm sure the streets of Philadelphia are on fire right now, having a grand old time out there. But yeah, I mean, look, this is a really great game they had.
Did I hear they were taking light poles out of the ground because they were greased and couldn't climb them?
Out of the ground? Oh my gosh. So I saw the whole greasing the light poles thing, and I don't know if that was specifically for New Orleans. I'm assuming it was for Philly too, because they had a really bad accident there recently.
Which the Philly, they did that a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl the first time. They greased the light poles because, they know people are going to try and climb them. And yeah, they had the accident a couple weeks ago after winning the NFC Championship game. And I think Bill mentioned, I haven't looked it up, but he said that apparently people were trying to take the light poles out of the ground because they couldn't climb them.
Oh my gosh.
Which, hey,
what?
Go off. You know what I mean?
I've seen people still climb them and stuff, but I saw Kermit the Frog get lit on fire. It was just. Look, Philly fans are one of a kind, honestly.
They really are, and to say the least. We'll unpack more of the Super Bowl. Let's hear a little bit of what Nick Sirianni had to say after the game. Coming up next, it is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry, along with you on your Monday, reacting to Super Bowl 59 here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Glass.
What's going on, guys? Everyone knows that AAA Heating and Air has the best HVAC replacement options in the Midlands with their guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15 years parts and labor warranty. They're hard to beat when you need a new system. But did you know they also have great deals for repairs? That's right. If your system is broken or you're strapped for cash, AAA Heating and Air can help. They'll get you repairs done. They'll get your repairs done with payment options for up to 12 months and no credit check required. If you're the homeowner, all you need is a valid bank account. So don't wait. Call AAA Heating and Air today and get your comfort back on track. AAA Heating and Air, comfort you can trust.
Currently car shopping? State Credit Union now has auto loan rates as low as 4.25% APR. Plus, you'll have no car payment for up to 90 days. Visit one of State Credit Union's 19 full-service branches or their website, scscu.com. That's scscu.com and apply online for your new car loan today. That's scscu.com. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Honey, look, the hookers. They've moved off the highway and now they're all over the parking lot.
What are all those Schroeder's towing trucks doing in that parking lot, though?
Must be towing all those unauthorized cars parked in the lot. Good thing the business owner called Schroeder's Towing to keep their parking lot clear for just their customers. Didn't those cars see the free signage that Schroeder's provides to business owners to deter unauthorized parking?
I guess not.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, reminding you that no gift communicates affection more perfectly than fine jewelry. So this Valentine's Day, why mess around? We have thousands of items in every price range, and if you don't know what to get, our staff can help you get exactly the right Valentine's Day gift. And this particular year, diamond studs are the hottest thing going. We have them starting with quarter-carat total weights for just $99. So come see us at Traditions on Sunset in Lexington and at Sand Hills across from the fountain.
Are you tired of dealing with pain? Are you looking for a solution that doesn't involve surgery, drugs, big expenses, or long recovery times? Well, let me tell you about Shockwave Therapy, available now at QC Kinetics Columbia. Shockwave Therapy is an evidence-based, non-invasive treatment designed to stimulate your body's natural healing processes by increasing circulation to the affected area and promoting cellular repair. The best part? There's no drugs, no surgery, and absolutely no downtime. This advanced technology has been trusted by professional athletes for years. So whether you're recovering from an injury or simply looking to enhance your healing, Shockwave Therapy could be the game-changing solution that you've been waiting for. So schedule your free consultation today. Don't let pain hold you back any longer. Call now or visit us online to book your appointment. You can also use HSA and FSA plans. QC Kinetics is now offering Shockwave Therapy. Call today, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
what you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. The best selection of new Chevys. Right now. No hassle, no ridiculous add-on stickers. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
NIL is more important than ever to success in college athletics. Our friends at Garnet Trust are trying to build the best NIL program in the country for South Carolina student athletes. Head on over to garnettrust.com where you can support Gamecock athletes, get access to exclusive content, and help build the best NIL program in the country.
Nothing says I love you like a clean home. This Valentine's Day, call the cleaning pros at Zerorez right now. Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 2 rooms of carpet clean for free with 2 rooms for $119. Book online, ZerorezColumbia.com.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet on the Game Network.
God blessed us very much. He gave us all the talents to be able to get here. So first and foremost, thanks to him. And this is the ultimate team game. You can't be great without the greatness of others. And great performance by everybody. Offense, defense, special teams, Howie getting us the guys, our coaching staff, these great players. We didn't really ever care what anyone thought about how we won or their opinions. All we want to do is win. That's why we listened to my prerogative a little bit when we were after some wins, but thank God. Thank you, Jesus.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler and Jack Beltry along with you here on your Monday, reacting to Super Bowl 59. That was Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Eagles, talking to Tom Rinaldi after the game, taking in all the emotions of his first Super Bowl win. And look, Sirianni rubs people the wrong way. He's brash. He's outspoken. He's bold. But you cannot deny he is now a Super Bowl champion. You'll never be able to take that away from him. And in 4 years as a head coach, he's taken 2 teams to the Super Bowl. This guy's good.
Yeah, I mean, he's caught a ton of flack over the years. And I honestly, I'm not really sure why. I mean, just because, look, his first year in Philly wasn't really that good, 9-8. And then they lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then they lose to Tampa in the wild card game in 23. And then they win the Super Bowl this year. So, I mean, everyone's going to, love this guy now and stuff. But, I mean, there were people calling for his job as recent as probably a few weeks ago, before Philly really started to go on this run and go to the Super Bowl and win it ultimately. So, I mean, there's no question this guy went from being on a hot seat to getting the ultimate cool off with the Gatorade bath and stuff. So he's fine for the future, I think. But it's good to see him win the Super Bowl here.
Can we address Big Dom really quick?
Big Dom.
There is not a camera in the world that man does not want to stand in front of. Look, people inside of Philadelphia have known about him for a long time. He's been with the team since the 90s, even going back to the Andy Reid days. He's been around there for a very long time. But he had the situation last year with the 49ers. I forget which player it was, one of the guys on the defense, and ended up getting him suspended for a game. And then, he became known after that. But man, I swear every time there's a shot on the sideline, especially after the game, if when coach is getting interviewed, man, Big Dom is there. He is not shy from the cameras. He wants to be seen, and he makes sure he gets seen.
Yeah, Big Dom was bringing Sirianni out to midfield for the handshake after the game. Oh man, it's just so funny. I love seeing the Italian flag on his Eagles gear and stuff. So Big Dom represents for sure.
But by the way, Big Dom being the head of security wherever he is, so Nick Sirianni being the head coach, this might be the most Eagles the Eagles have ever been, if we're being honest with you. When it comes to the cast of characters, the persona of the head coach, everything about this team is quintessential Philadelphia, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, outside of the fact that most of their team is made up of all SEC guys and stuff. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that's the thing with Sirianni that I've never understood with Philly fans and stuff. I know they're tough. I know they want their coach fired anytime something goes wrong, obviously because they expect to win. But it's this guy gets it, right? I mean, Sirianni seems like a good dude and stuff. You got Big Dom. You got the right culture in there. You got your quarterback. But again, sometimes it's just never enough for them. But it is good to see Philly get this Super Bowl, and I'm sure they'll be right back to wanting to fire Sirianni at the moment things go wrong next season.
Well, you said the guy getting the guys from the SEC isn't necessarily Philadelphia. I'd push back on that because I think the hard-nosed, aggressive style of football in the SEC fits perfectly with Philly culture. And again, you saw that last night. Again, half of their defense is guys from Georgia. The quarterback played at Alabama. A.J. Brown played at Ole Miss. I know Saquon Barkley wasn't from the SEC, but he runs like an SEC running back would be expected to run. You know what I mean? Like, they just have this grittiness to them that, again, kind of encapsulates what the city of Philadelphia is all about.
Oh, no, totally. And that's what I mean by, the SEC thing. Like, I mean, it makes sense from that standpoint. But geographically speaking, yeah, not from the Philly area, obviously, like these other guys are like Sirianni from New York and stuff. But yeah, I mean, look, it definitely helps that the SEC is as close as it's going to get to playing, pro style football. But yeah, I mean, look, this is a team that has built very well through the draft, obviously, and stuff. And again, that's a credit to Howie Roseman and the management out there in Philly.
Did you get extra enjoyment out of last night as a Bills fan?
I mean, I don't really care who won the game last night. Like, it was nice to see the Chiefs get blown out. I will tell you that. More so than anything, it's just like, man, the Bills, they could have been there, man. That's the thing is, like, I think it would have been a better game last night had the Bills and Eagles been playing. But again, since they weren't, it is nice to see the Chiefs get blown out. But yeah, I don't really have any gripe against Philly. Again, it's just I think their fans are just kind of a little bit crazy for my taste. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, for anybody that had Chiefs fatigue, I think last night probably satisfied you in a lot of different ways.
Oh, totally. It was nice seeing the Chiefs get a nice taste of what everyone else has had to deal with over the last few years.
Well, switching things over to women's basketball now, there's a lot of people that are probably sick of seeing South Carolina be successful and continuing to win. And, well, they got their wish yesterday because Dawn Staley's crew went out to Texas and a hard-fought game, nip and tuck back and forth all the way down to the wire, but they end up coming up short and suffer their first regular season loss in the SEC since December 30th of 2021 against Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that game yesterday. It's just, it never felt like South Carolina was going to, there's that late push at the end of the game, and they're going to get over the hump, and they're going to take the lead, and they're going to win the game. It just didn't feel like that yesterday. Anytime South Carolina did something, Texas immediately responded. They had so much issue stopping that front court yesterday, specifically Madison Booker, who went for 20 points yesterday. I mean, it was just a lot of tough layups given up and stuff, and South Carolina just couldn't get into a flow of things at the end of the game to kind of persevere and pull through. But yeah, I mean, look, this was going to be that game that everyone thought maybe South Carolina ends up losing because it's on the road at Texas, and this is a really good Longhorn team that you're playing. But yeah, man, first SEC loss, and you won 57 straight before, so it's all streaks have to come to an end at some point.
And Don said it after the game that Texas physically dominated them for 3 quarters of that game. And you go back to their first matchup a couple weeks ago here at Colonial Life Arena, South Carolina did that to them. Texas still rebounded the ball like crazy, but they could not get clean looks to save their life. Madison Booker famously was held to 3 of 19 shooting in that game. She was largely ineffective. It's really hard to do that twice against a team that's good. And Vic Schaefer, obviously a great coach that's taken teams all the way to the top of women's college basketball. It's hard to do that twice, and especially it's hard to do it the second time in their home barn, which again, you saw South Carolina get pushed around a little bit more yesterday, and we'll see if this provides kind of that wake-up call that the UCLA game was, where they came out with their hair on fire in the games after that. And as you're talking about the final month of the regular season, and obviously tournament play coming up in March and hopefully extending through April, we'll see if this kind of lights that fire for them once again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I think this is a different situation compared to the UCLA game, because keep in mind, South Carolina was not playing good basketball going into that UCLA game, because they were winning, but it just wasn't pretty. With this team now, they've played a lot better since then, and yesterday was not their best performance, and someone was bound to get them at some point. It just happened to be a really good Texas team going on the road. But for South Carolina, I mean, look, I think they're going to be fine moving forward. You got everything still in front of you. I mean, obviously, you'd like to still try to be the number 1 seed going into the SEC tournament, but I think South Carolina, they got a big game with UConn coming up on Saturday, or on Sunday, sorry. So quick turnaround here. We'll see what they can do, and you just hope they can get it right before then.
Yeah, so this gets a little bit tricky because South Carolina still controls its destiny in the regular season SEC standing. So if they won out, they would still hold that title. However, if they went out and Texas wins out, it would then come down to a coin flip on who gets the number one seed in the SEC tournament because they did split the respective regular season series there. So a little convoluted. Again, Carolina still controls its own destiny. This doesn't knock them from being a number one seed or anything like that. So it's jarring when they lose, right? Because they just don't do it a lot.
Yeah, it definitely is jarring. And again, they've only lost 2 games this year. They're still a very good team. I've seen people out there saying that, Dawn Staley was too focused on the Super Bowl and stuff like that. That's not the case. It's just they got beat by another really good team with a coach that obviously has a history going up against Dawn.
Well, it's very rare that the men's and women's team lose on the same weekend. It's especially rare when the women's team loses, not so much for the men's side of things as they fail once again on Saturday, which we'll get into coming up next. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry. By the way, Carolina Calls with Dawn Staley coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock right here on The Game in Columbia and 100.3 The Game out in Myrtle Beach. So be sure to tune in for that. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry on your Monday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Boomer Esiason with a Sportsman Ad, sponsored by Fisher Investments. Loyal listeners know that I'm big on birthdays, so I'd be remiss if I didn't share a pair of belated shout-outs to 28-year-old Saquon Barkley and 22-year-old Cooper DeJean, who enjoyed a Super Bowl blowout victory on their birthdays yesterday. DeJean, a rookie cornerback, added icing to his cake with a 38-yard pick six. I'm Boomer Esiason.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample Rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central on the Game Network and the 107.5 The Game app.
And welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here on your Monday, reacting to all things Super Bowl 59. Also talking a little bit of basketball as well, which we'll get back into here in just a moment. I did want to get your take. Super Bowl halftime show, Kendrick Lamar. Yes, no? What are your thoughts?
All right. I feel like, honestly, everyone is either really hating it or absolutely loving it. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I thought it was fine last night. My issue is I thought it was very good storytelling last night. But again, it's like he was missing a lot of the really good songs he has. But not like us at the end. I mean, if you want to look up context for it, go ahead. But I mean, that was so funny last night.
I'm a fan of Kendrick. I thought he did a phenomenal job. I can understand if you don't know anything about him. You were probably confused. You were probably confused the entire time. Like, what is this? What's he talking about? Like, I do think it's more of kind of like if you understand the lore of him and what the songs are about, then you probably enjoy the performance. But if not, I could see how you would be confused and probably wouldn't enjoy it. So it was definitely a performance for more of the hardcore fans of him and the genre. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was good seeing like Serena Williams was in there, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, like, again, it was definitely very like story driven with some good songs. Again, it's just I wish he had more of like the other songs that everyone really knows. But again, I understand if you didn't like it for sure.
I mean, what, DNA, Not Like Us? I feel like those are his two more like general, like overwhelmingly popular songs that even people that aren't fans of his may know.
No, true. And like there were other ones like, you know, Mad City, you know, I would have liked to say like Swimming Pools is an old one and stuff. And, you know, just songs like that. But I mean, again, you have such a short runtime and stuff. And you got to include SZA in there. Yeah. I thought it was good for what it was, but it could have always been better.
I don't know how Drake shows his face ever again.
Drake, oh my gosh.
You already lost the beef a year ago. And then you got publicly humiliated at the biggest sporting event, maybe the second biggest sporting event in the entire world, and the entire stadium chiming in on A minor, like, oh, brutal.
The moment where Kendrick is like looking directly at the camera when he says, "Say Drake," and then he gives that little smile, man, it was so funny yesterday. Drake was publicly humiliated, probably the biggest humiliation I've ever seen.
I think I heard he's on tour in Australia, so he wasn't at the game, but. Yeah, you can't get much further away than Australia, I guess.
Yeah, that was, and he knew that was coming too. That was rough yesterday.
Speaking of rough, Saturday at Rupp Arena, 80-57. This to me, I think might have been the actual worst loss of the conference slate so far for South Carolina, because essentially, whenever Colin Murray-Boyles was not on the court, this team could not score.
I mean, what can you say, man? This team just has no pulse at this point, in my opinion. Like, say what you will, but when you shoot 19, when you take more shots than points scored, I mean, look, I mean, what more can you say? You're not winning games shooting 33% from the field.
Nope.
I mean, that's just not going to cut. You go 4 of 22 from three-point range. You miss 8 free throws. You only had 9 turnovers, but again, it's the inability to efficiently score. It's just such a problem. And I thought the defense was actually doing a very nice job early on in this game. But it's just like, it's not even like Kentucky played that much better at certain points in that first half. I mean, this was a 14-point game at the break, and it's just like South Carolina only puts up 19 points, and they shoot like 20% from the field. you're not winning if you can't score. And they really don't have much outside of Colin Murray-Boyles.
My prediction on Friday was way off. I said I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I had a weird feeling that this was going to be the game that things fall into place. Kentucky was scuffling. They'd lost 4 out of their last 5. They weren't playing good on defense. Like, maybe this is finally the game where Carolina puts it together and gets the win. Because, again, Coach Pierce has a really good record against Kentucky going into the game on Saturday, and that obviously went out the window. And now, 0-10.
Yeah, leave it to South Carolina to help out, another team that's scuffling. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I mean, this team just doesn't really have much going for it right now. You get Ole Miss coming in on Wednesday. That's a very, very good Ole Miss team. And
who did you see their comeback against LSU on Saturday night?
No, I didn't. What happened there?
It would take more than a few minutes to explain, but they were down by a lot. They came storming back, and they found a way to win at LSU. And again, I know LSU's not a good team, but winning on the road anywhere is tough, and the comeback they had, it was impressive. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. And look, they're going to have to do it again on Wednesday. I think South Carolina is going to give a good fight, having this game come in Columbia, obviously. It's just like, it's not so much of like, I don't even know. I mean, when are they going to win a game is the question. Are they going to win a game? That's more so the question here.
That's what you're rooting for. Just win one. Just one. I don't care who it's against. Yeah. Don't go 0-18 in conference play. Don't be one of the teams that we look back on as one of the worst in the history of the SEC. Just find a way to win one.
People are going to remember you going 0-18. We will remember Missouri going 0-18. We'll remember Vanderbilt going 0-18 a few years back. If South Carolina joins that list, we'll certainly remember them. But if they go 1-17 or even 2-16, no one's going to really remember other than just being a bad year.
Yeah, just try and avoid the embarrassment. But again, right now, I don't have enough confidence in this team to even do that. I hope they surprise me, but I'm not getting my hopes up too high.
No, it's definitely a lost season at this point, and you just hope they can find a way to get it going. They've shown they can play tight in some games, but again, it's these 50-50 splits. They play really, really bad blowout losses one time, and then they'll play really tight games the next. It's just there's no consistency there.
If there's any hope, like you said, that Ole Miss game is at home on Wednesday, and they obviously play better at home. They've taken so many ranked teams down to the limit, and this can be another example of that. So we'll see if they can back that up once again. But, man, it's not been a fun men's basketball season so far. Thank God baseball starts at the end of the week.
Yep. 8 more games to go in the regular season, another SEC tournament. We'll see how long that goes. And then, baseball starts Friday. So we're all looking forward to it here.
Yeah, we'll talk plenty about that as week goes along as men's baseball takes on Sacred Heart coming up Friday at 4 o'clock. By the way, we'll have a baseball opening day Schroeder's Towing Roadshow at Village Idiot from 12 until 3:45. Letting in pretty good coverage for that one. Jack, we'll check in back with you tomorrow and explore the offseason of football now that it's all come to an end.
Yeah, man. Sad the football's over now, but I'm looking forward to it.
That'll do it for hour 1 of the Extra Point. Coming up, hour number 2, Sam Shapiro jumps in here with me as we dive back into what happened in Super Bowl 59 on your Monday here on The Game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Tyler Ed here once again telling you about our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. I tell you about it all the time, but I will remind you once again, you always need to be on the lookout for weird things happening around your home. Things like cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in walls or above windows and door frames, doors or windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you notice any of these problems with your home, you could have serious foundation issues. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialist come in. Go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com. They'll send a professional to your home to evaluate your foundation problems and get them fixed right so you and your family can live without worry and comfort going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist.
Host your next event at Hilton Garden Inn downtown for a seamless and memorable experience. Whether it's a corporate meeting, training session, family reunion, or wedding, their flexible meeting space can accommodate up to 320 people and is equipped with top-notch audio-visual equipment. With on-site catering services, you can focus on your event, while Hilton Garden Inn takes care of the rest. Contact the sales department at 803-227-3400 to book your event and enjoy the comfort, convenience, and hospitality of Hilton Garden Inn, Columbia downtown.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Messaging data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today, fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
The only thing worse than hiring no law firm after your injury is hiring the wrong law firm. And there are so many of them. When thousands of people call us every year asking to help them change law firms and hire us instead, I wonder why they ever called the other firm in the first place. They were smart to switch before it was too late. You only get one day in court. You know who has the resources and results to fight to handle your claim. And the big insurance company on the other side, they know it too. They know us well. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Walk our way. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. We are big for a reason, which is why we've recovered over $9 billion for our clients. When it comes to law, size matters. We're America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station.
The extra point. With Tyler Head and Gamecock Central on the Game Network.
Uh, 10 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome back in. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head, Sam Shapiro hanging out with me as he does each and every Monday. Super Bowl Monday edition. Jack and I have broken this game down a lot of different ways in the past hour. Look, I didn't have a rooting interest either way. I just want to see a fun game. What we got last night was not really a fun game unless you're just the biggest diehard Eagles fan.
Yeah, it definitely helped that I was watching the game with a lot of Eagles fans, but I think if you were not diehard rooting for the Chiefs to lose, it wasn't really an exciting game by the end of the third quarter.
One of our girls that works upstairs, Cassidy, she got in the elevator with me this morning. She's legitimately from Missouri. Like, she's a Kansas City diehard fan. And when I saw her, I was just like, tough night last night, huh? She's like, yeah. But, the three-peats are hard. It's never happened before. It may never happen again. Very rarefied air for what they were attempting to accomplish last night, and they just were no match for the Eagles.
Well, didn't the Packers win, or Lombardi won, I think 3 in a row back in the 60s?
No, not during the Super Bowl era. Before they had the Super Bowl, the Packers won like 3 NFL championships, I believe in the 30s, but that doesn't count in what we now know as the Super Bowl era. So it's never happened since we've been playing Super Bowls.
Yeah, look, it would have been impressive to see them kind of accomplish that feat, but I mean, that pass rush defense from the Eagles, I mean, they just swallowed Mahomes up entirely. He couldn't really get anything going. And the one point that Brady actually made last night that actually had some substance was when he was like, I actually remember when we played them, the pass pressure was insane. He didn't really have any time to get throws off in the pocket, and that's kind of exactly what we saw last night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how great your quarterback is. You can be first ballot Hall of Famer, the greatest of all time, whatever it may be. If you don't have protection, if you don't have time to sit in the pocket and let things develop down the field, you're not going to win that game. And again, Patrick Mahomes got sacked 6 times last night, which was the most of his entire career up to that point. Joe Thuney playing at left tackle, who was originally a guard, was just getting beat up. He's getting put on skates all night long. And again, Mahomes tried to make things happen with his feet, but even then, that was only so effective. Like, there's no protection. And when you don't have protection, you can't sit back there and be a good quarterback.
And it was wild, too, because I feel like we've seen him so many times in multiple games, just like at least 7 or 8 plays, find that scramble out of the mess that is the pocket collapsing for 20, 30 yards. And, I mean, he really only did that once or twice last night. And a lot of the picks he threw were like bad picks. Like, they weren't just accidents. Like, that throw to Cooper DeJean that ultimately I think kind of decided the game was a big momentum changer. That was like a really bad pass.
Yeah, it's like you didn't see him. And then when Bond caught the interception, I believe on the next drive, then it's like, what are you doing? Like, he almost basically threw it to him. Like, it was very un-Mahomes-esque. But again, we got pressure in your face that you're not used to seeing throughout the entire season. It's like, yeah, okay, you're going to make some bad throws. And by God, which, by the way, important point. I brought this up on Friday. Neither he nor Hurts had thrown an interception since early November. Both of them threw them, and Hurts had the one earlier in the game, which didn't end up hurting them. But, yeah, they were on long streaks of not throwing interceptions, and we saw 3 last night.
Yeah, I think both of them were also probably a little bit nervous because, Jalen Hurts had that revenge tour score to kind of settle. But I think Mahomes, this Chiefs team was kind of lackluster in comparison to the last 2 championship teams that won before. I feel like they just kind of had dismantled part of the championship formula that had worked time and time again. I felt really bad for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, no way about it. Do you think Jalen Hurts actually gets nervous? Like, dude is like the most even keel, not too high, not too low guy I think I've ever seen. Like, even after the game, when Aaron Andrews was on the field interviewing him, he was just like, yeah, whatever.
I think he's a very, like, he keeps how he's truly feeling to himself. I think he is very good at covering that up and masking it with a very stoic kind of presentation. But I know you could. When I was watching Aaron Andrews talk to him last night, I was literally screaming at the TV, speak your piece. This is your 15 seconds of fame. You've literally had your lock screen since you've lost as the red confetti behind you, and now this is your moment to be like, I've finally settled the score, and you're just going to sit there and smirk and go, yeah, we won.
But that's his style, right? Like, that's who he is. Like, before she started talking to him, Brandon Graham was over there. Tell him, like, man, let him know.
Yeah.
Tell these people. And, like, I was expecting, like, hey, here's your chance. Here, your ball's in your court. Say whatever you want to say. But, again, in Jalen Hurts fashion, look, I admire Jalen Hurts going all the way back to his time at Alabama. I just love the way that he composed himself and love the way he played the game. And he has stayed true to himself that entire time. Even in the greatest moment of his career, he didn't take that opportunity to slam the people that have been critical of him, and myself included. Like, because again, the offense for the Eagles this year has been predicated on Saquon Barkley running the football. And the Chiefs, one of the few things they did good last night was making sure that Saquon Barkley did not run all over them, and Jalen Hurts got the ball in his hands and made plays.
Yeah, he had a great pass to Devonta Freeman and A.J. Brown at separate points in the game. Like, the pass game actually looked solid, pretty much. It was actually the most solid it kind of looked throughout this postseason in comparison to, the divisional game, the conference championship. And I think in one of those games, he had only 130 yards, Jalen Hurts. Like, we didn't know if he was going to really be.
Because he didn't have to, because Saquon Barkley was running the ball so well.
So I think Saquon even was kind of upset, too, that he couldn't really get it going last night, even though Jalen Hurts was kind of running the show. But
I'll take the video of him dancing in the locker room is that he wasn't all that upset about it.
Yeah, probably not. But they showered Sirianni with the Gatorade way too early last night.
I was kind of curious about that because, like, Sirianni is like hard-nosed kind of guy, right? Like very abrasive, very brash. That was like before the 2-minute warning. I was curious to see if he was going to turn around and yell at everybody for doing that, because like there's so many coaches that there could be 15 seconds left on the clock, up 3 touchdowns. Like, hey, game's not over yet. Not till we get triple zeros. But Sirianni, I think, took the time to enjoy it instead of snapping back at them.
Well, I was going to say, you're up 34-0 at the end of the third quarter, and then they finally got on the board with the kind of desperation touchdown.
Which that was an impressive touchdown. It just didn't mean anything.
Oh, if it happened like literally a quarter and a half ago, we would have maybe had some sort of game. But I think at that point he was kind of like, all right, game's over, might as well kind of enjoy it. But I wasn't confident that the game was like over until there was like 5 minutes left in the game left. After watching 28-3 live, I literally was screaming drill, drill, drill the entire game.
That was my thing is, again, I've seen it happen before. Leads can evaporate very quickly, especially when you have one of the best quarterbacks of all time on the other side. I didn't feel the most I felt good about the Eagles going into halftime because it was 24-0, but the Chiefs getting the ball to start the second half was like, okay, here's the moment, right? Reed's going to get them, fired up in the locker room. They're going to come out, going to go on some kind of great drive, score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, then boom, it's a 2-score game, and now we're talking. They went out and proceeded to go 3 and out, and then it was a few drives later, but it wasn't until Jalen Hurts found Devonta Smith on the long touchdown after the Chiefs had just gone 3 and out, or not 3 and out, had failed on 4th down at the 45-yard line, which, again, they didn't cross the 50 until late in the third quarter with like 2 minutes to go. When he hit Smith, and you can even hear it on the highlight clip where Kevin Burkhardt's like, well, they're going to run the ball here. Oh, no, they're going to go deep. Like, they're going for the throat. When they did that and made it 34-0, I'm like, okay, now the game's over.
Yeah, it was like watching one of those like projection charts, who has the best odds to win the game, and then there's like the one play, and then you just see it like completely spike up. The DeJean pick was one spike, and then the next spike that probably got it to like 99.8% chance to win was probably that 50-yard touchdown catch.
I'm actually curious if I can find that. When did that fully spike in favor of the Eagles? Let's see here. Okay, so according to this, when they had a 24-0 lead early third quarter, when they got the ball the first time, they had a 99.1% chance.
Oh, my gosh.
And it did not officially hit 100. Well, I guess it never hits 100 till the game's over. Yeah. But it got to 99.9, when they were up 34-0.
Oh, my God.
Late in the third quarter.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like you were kind of saying, maybe, the 50-point or the 50-yard reception was kind of more the deciding. That was the nail in the coffin. That was the 20-point meme with Phoenix and Dallas. Is this the dagger?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Like, which again, I just wanted a good game. I wanted a game that was fun, that we could come in here and talk about, like, man, I can't believe this crazy thing happened in the 5 minutes to go, or Mahomes did this, or Hurts did that. Like, again, when it's pretty much over, it doesn't give you a lot of, like, redeeming qualities to come in here and talk about. And, I mean, honestly, in my lifetime, it's probably going to rank as one of the worst Super Bowls I've ever seen.
Probably if you're going in on bias and you don't have like a diehard necessarily fan base you're rooting for. This one was pretty bad, but I personally think the worst one I ever watched was, and I might be biased because this one was in the Meadowlands, but the disaster that was Super Bowl 48 with the Broncos and the Seahawks, that game was so lame.
Yeah, that's what last night was reminding me of.
Defense winning championships.
I felt like, and again, you're talking about a team that was quarterbacked by Peyton Manning. I feel like that one was over a lot quicker. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of knew, I think before halftime,
it was over,
that there was no way that the Broncos were going to come back and win that game. So, and, I know the Chiefs tacked on some garbage touchdowns last night to make it closer than it really was. But effectively, the score differential was almost the same because that was a 36-point game last night, or 35-point game. Yeah, last night effectively was a 34-point game because it was 40-6 in my opinion. Because again, garbage touchdowns for the Chiefs are only worth so much.
It made it look good on paper. So then when the historians bring it back in 5-10 years, they could say, well, it wasn't that bad. They didn't get completely pummeled. Now
hey, listen, getting beat by 3 scores in the Super Bowl is pretty bad.
No, well, especially when they're garbage and it's in garbage time and it necessarily doesn't count. I mean, like you're kind of saying, I kind of look at 43-8, and I was like, that's really more of what an accurate interpretation of what the score kind of was yesterday.
I will say I was disappointed that last night was not a scoregami.
I was so mad because most of the game it was.
43-8 was a scoregami when that happened, and I do not believe it's been replicated ever since. And I immediately went to Twitter after the game like, oh, this has got to be a scoregami. Patriots and Rams in 2004 in like November were the only other time this score ever happened.
So close.
By the way, I lost my squares last night for this game.
No.
Because we were doing halftime and after the game, final scores. Didn't get either one.
Well, were you at least close?
I have to go back and look. I didn't even remember what my numbers were. I just checked it to see if I won anything, and I didn't. But, yeah, and nobody would have predicted this final score. I'll say that much.
Probably not. And I think, honestly, I'm kind of thinking about it, too. Even that Panthers-Broncos Super Bowl was not great, but that was at least...
That was 24-10. It was relatively close, though. Kind of similarly, because, again, Peyton Manning was done even before that Super Bowl. Like, he could not throw a forward pass to save his life, but that defense was so dominant. Like, that was like a second iteration of the Orange Crush for the Broncos, that there was it didn't seem like there was any way the Panthers could do anything, even with the MVP Cam Newton that day. So I think this was a little bit worse because, again, they just physically assaulted Patrick Mahomes for 4 quarters. I don't remember them quite doing that to that degree against Cam Newton, but that was another one that, wasn't the most compelling.
It also, I watched the game with a bunch of Eagles fans, so the morale in the room I was watching the game in was very high pretty much the entire night. So that definitely made the game a little bit more entertaining throughout kind of the entire night. But I think even if the Chiefs won, it still would have been an entertaining night because, we would have been at least watching history.
Yeah, that was my thing is, if you don't like the Chiefs, you would have at least been able to say, man, I watched them win 3 Super Bowls in a row. It's never happened before, may never happen again. But now they're going to have to try and start that process all over again.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they bounce back and if Kelsey decides if he's going to return to the field or not because he did look like an old man last night.
Well, we'll dive into some of that coming up next. So let's hear from Jalen Hurts, what he had to say after the game, as well as the extra point rolls along. Tyler Head and Sam Shapiro, along with you on your Monday, reacting to Super Bowl 59 here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
At Atkins Law, we believe who you hire matters, but don't take our word for it. Hear it from our clients.
From the front desk to the paralegals answering my questions to the one I have in my back, I couldn't ask for a better team of professionals.
From our first phone call to meeting Joe in person, I knew I was going to be in good hands.
Holly has a great practice, and her various experiences brings tons of knowledge to each of her clients.
Remember, who you hire matters.
Call Atkins Law, 803-251-6406. Calling all business owners and property managers.
Is it finally time to get that parking lot or driveway repaved?
Call Black Seal today. Black Seal is a locally owned commercial asphalt construction and maintenance company, servicing local churches, schools, shopping centers, warehouses, restaurants, you name it.
If it needs asphalt paving or asphalt repair,
Black Seal has you covered. If you're looking to pave your parking lot or driveway, Black Seal paves the way. Black Seal also provides maintenance options to maintain your asphalt
and improve your curb appeal.
Get your free estimate and visit blacksealsc.com to learn more.
Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, reminding you that no gift communicates affection more perfectly than fine jewelry. So this Valentine's Day, why mess around? We have thousands of items in every price range, and if you don't know what to get, our staff can help you get exactly the right Valentine's Day gift. And this particular year, diamond studs are the hottest thing going. We have them starting with 1/4 carat total weights for just $99. So come see us at Traditions on Sunset in Lexington and at Sand Hills across from the fountain.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stopped, opt out.
Your garage door could be a ticking time bomb. Seriously, did you know 20 to 30,000 garage door accidents happen every year in the U.S.? How does that even happen? Well, your garage door has 20 or more working parts and opens and closes 1,500 times a year. That's a lot of wear and tear. Don't wait until something breaks breaks and you get stuck. Text TECH to 323232 right now for your ProCheck multi-point inspection only from OGD Overhead Garage Door. With thousands of 5-star Google reviews, OGD is the garage door expert in Columbia. OGD is available 24/7 to help you with same-day service. So if your garage door is broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky, text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TECH to 323232 right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Text the word TECH to 323232 now. Text TECH to 323232.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for an entire year. You heard that right. Purchase a new system now and make no payments for a full 12 months. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Flowers and chocolates are okay, but insanely clean home from Zerorez carpet cleaning is sure to impress your loved one. Only Zerorez uses ZR water to clean your carpets and other surfaces without harsh chemicals. To make things sweeter, they leave zero residue so your carpets stay cleaner longer. From now until Valentine's Day, get 2 rooms for free when you book 2 rooms for only $119. Call and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 1075 The Game, or book online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
When it comes to protecting my family's future, I want a life insurance company that's at the top of their game. That's why I got same-day coverage through Ethos. There was no paperwork, no waiting around, and no medical exam. I just answered a few health questions online, and Ethos set me up with a $3 million policy for about $2 a day. Go to tryethos.com and get it done today. That's TRYETHOS.com. TRYETHOS.com. Sample rates is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Gamecock Central on the Game Network.
God is good. He's greater than all the highs and the lows, and I think personally myself, I've just been able to use every experience and learn from it. The good, the bad, all of it, using it as fuel to pursue my own greatness. And I think I couldn't do any of these things without the guys around me. You know, we had a special group this year. We were able to learn from the past and get some nice new pieces and get over that hump.
Welcome back in. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Ed and Sam Shapiro along with you here on your Monday, reacting to Super Bowl 59. That was Jalen Hurts talking after the game about the special group of players around him that compiled this Philadelphia Eagles team that, man, what an interesting couple of years it's been. Because, 2 years ago they were in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts effectively outplayed Patrick Mahomes in that game, but Mahomes did what Mahomes does, leads the Chiefs down the field to kick that last field goal to ultimately win that game. And it's been this journey since then for Hurts. Famously had the picture on his phone of the confetti falling and him watching the Chiefs celebrate 2 years ago as motivation to get back here. They had a strong start to the 2023 season and fell apart at the very end. There was the drama, within the locker room earlier on this year between Hurts and A.J. Brown, and then A.J. Brown and the coach and all this kind of stuff. It just seemed like, man, is this team ever going to be able to get over the hump and, get past all this internal strife to win it all? And they did it last night. Jalen Hurts ends up winning the MVP, and rightfully so, as, again, the Chiefs did take away Barkley for the most part, and Hurts had to go out there and make plays, and he did.
Yeah, they just started playing great football at the right time. If you told me in August, September, this team was going to be winning the Super Bowl and squashing Kansas City's three-peat hopes, I probably would have laughed at you, Tyler, honestly, just because of how the beginning of this season started, and especially because of last year. I think they were one of the top 3 worst teams defensively in multiple stat categories, and then showing this year, we kind of look at the team, and I think they were top 3 in those defensive categories respectively. So just complete night and day change, especially from last season to this season. And they peaked at the right time. They started the season kind of slow, a little bit of messy stuff they were kind of dealing with in the beginning of the year, especially with Hurts and Brown, like you kind of mentioned. But they worked out all the kinks just in time, and it was more than enough time for them to get momentum, even though Hurts wasn't healthy for most of the year.
Yeah, and look, for Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, who is the reason why they're able to turn things around so much compared to a year ago on defense, last night was kind of a redemption arc for him too, because he coached in one prior Super Bowl in the Superdome for the 49ers against the Ravens 12 years ago now, and obviously came up short in that one. The lights went out famously, and the Ravens came back and won that game. So last night was a redemption arc for him as well, and just a old school phenomenal defensive coordinator that again came in and did exactly what he was supposed to do. And again, as I'll let Jalen Hurts explain it perfectly. For as much as we talk about offense in today's football, there's one thing that still remains true, and that is
number one, defense wins championships. Defense wins championships, and we saw how they played today. We saw the difference they made in the game, and they gave us opportunities, gave us short fields, and we're able to do what we do.
It's not wrong. Again, we have a game that's very much tilted towards offense now, but when you have a nasty pass rush that doesn't give that other team's quarterback a chance to set and throw, still win.
Yeah, and I know we were just talking about, how Hurts should have, talked the talk and gloated about how he completed his revenge tour, but hearing him kind of talk in almost a kind of humble tone that way almost makes you almost happier for him that, he kind of came out, completed that revenge tour, and kind of just looks at his teammates the way he does and has kind of embraced this team almost kind of, bringing home the hardware this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they're probably going to be one of the betting favorites to win Super Bowl again coming next year because, again, that defense stays intact. And, again, you're going to keep pretty much all the weapons that you have on offense, too. So they're not going away anytime soon. The other side of this with Kansas City is interesting, right? Because, again, it's one game. They still went effectively 15-1 in the regular season. I don't count the last game of the regular season. They won their way to their third straight Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit here and suddenly say, oh, my God, the Chiefs dynasty is over, because I don't think that it is. But I think they do have to look themselves in the mirror a little bit in this offseason. Mahomes is still great. He's still Patrick Mahomes. That's phenomenal. He's not going to change anytime soon. But Travis Kelce looked like an old man last night. He looked like, and again, we've seen him have his ups and downs this year. That may have been his last game. I don't know. We'll have to see if he decides to retire or not, but he's not what he once was. Nuke Hopkins, that drop that he had, wide open, that would have gotten him past the 50 early on in the game, he looked like an old man last night. Like, this team, last year they couldn't catch the ball. This year they just, like Xavier Northy's coming along a little bit, but they need more weapons on offense besides just Patrick Mahomes to be effective. Because that's the thing this year. They leaned on their defense. They were a great defensive team, and that's what helped them win so many games. But they used to be the offensive, explosion that everybody envied. And I get it. Defenses have adapted. They don't allow Patrick Mahomes to throw bombs the entire time, but, he still needs more weapons around him. And that's something they got to address in the draft and with free agency this offseason.
I mean, this used to be an offense that had Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. It used to be one of the hottest offenses in the NFL. I mean, they were all, I think, top three positional ranked players in fantasy respectively in their position when they were all together initially, and then that kind of just fell apart, and then it was, oh, well, they still have Tyreek and Travis Kelce. We can just nuke it to them down the field and it'll be fine. And that lasted a pretty long time, and with Kelce, it really did even kind of last up until this season, but I feel like in the beginning of this season, that kind of didn't work, and it was like, well, we can kind of just lean on our defense and lean on, kind of more of the supporting receivers if Kelce's not open every play. Well, Kelce wasn't really in a position to go and grab 8 or 9 catches for 70 yards in one half and then completely flip the script that way.
Sure.
I mean, credit to the Chiefs organization. They found a way to flip the script in most of the games this year. But, I mean, it was so funny listening to just people that had Mahomes on their fantasy team complain about how he wasn't balling out this year. And it was just, they were trying to find, they had so many other alternate solutions to kind of plan B, a winning recipe.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that luck kind of, well, it wasn't necessarily luck, but I feel like that strategy didn't really work for them last night.
And we talked about this going into the game all last week. It's like, this is a Philly team that on paper is better. This is the kind of team that is built to beat a team like the Chiefs. But we gave the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt because time and time again, they always found a way. And, I was like, man, there's going to be some kind of way it'll be tied or they'll be down 1 score and Mahomes going to get the ball with 2 minutes left to go and he's going to drive him down the field, score a touchdown, and we'll probably say once again, yeah, they probably didn't play the best game, but they found a way to win because that's just what the Chiefs do and what they've done time and time again this season. 12 one-score wins this year, which is the most in NFL history? Like, it's just become the norm for them. And even the last time they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles probably played a better game, but the Chiefs found a way to win. And again, until you see otherwise, you're not going to believe it's going to happen. Last night was otherwise.
Yeah, and I know we've kind of been talking about, all morning, defense wins championships. Maybe that's why they got a lot of those games. Maybe that's why they only lost 1 game this entire regular season. I mean, in a lot of those games, just the defensive pressure kind of gave them the last laugh. I mean, one that kind of, not necessarily defense, but that game against Denver where they basically should have won off Denver sinking that field goal, and then I think they shanked it right at the end, and you just see Mahomes kind of dancing. I mean, to me, that is like, you should have lost 2 games. So I don't know if it was just the defense that put them in the position there, but they had so many games where they had gotten bailed out by their defense, and it wasn't years past where they had Kelsey to kind of bail them out, driving down the field single-handedly or, having Tyreek kind of just run a screen pass around an entire defensive line.
Yep. Yeah, and look, again, I don't think the Chiefs are going to suddenly become a 500 team and never be back here again, but they're going to have to retool this offseason because this is not a team, clearly, that it was built to win a Super Bowl. And, again, They did Chiefs things the entire year that helped get them back to this point, but they're going to be hard-pressed to replicate what they did this year next year if nothing changes.
This has been a long-time problem for them, I feel like, in the last couple of years, but they're definitely going to need some more guys in that wide receiver room or just at least 2 or 3 players that can competently, consistently catch the ball. If they can't get that, they're still going to either at least they're going to have more troubles than they did, this regular season. They're going to probably look more like they did in this championship game going forward.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Again, surprising result last night, I'd say, because, again, when you look at any game, you're like, okay, here's the most likely outcome, least likely outcome. I think an Eagles blowout of the Chiefs was probably the least likely outcome. Not to say the Eagles couldn't win the game, but winning by, I know it's only 3 scores. They really won by more than that. Winning in that kind of fashion was something I don't think anybody saw coming.
I mean, I kind of looked at that game pretty much as a shutout. I was kind of like, I guess it won't be a shutout on paper when, Worthy kind of caught that touchdown at the end of the third quarter. But I think a lot more people were excited.
Hard feelings. Would someone actually do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nope. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. I think a lot more people were excited just because of how the scoring margin was, and just because the magnitude of both teams. I think people would have been even more excited if it was like a team like the Lions or the Vikings, though, just because it would have been a little bit different.
Right.
But I still think the game was a little bit more exciting than the public's giving it credit for.
Well, at the end of the day, the Chiefs did ultimately fall. They were not the only dynasty that suffered a loss yesterday. Women's team in action taking on Texas, except for their second loss of the season, which we'll dive into coming up next. It is The Extra Point. Tyra and Sam Shapiro along with you on your Monday here on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia.
100.5 The Game in Florence. And 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media.
The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia.
The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us, Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we know how serious injuries change people's lives. I'm Jason Reynolds. When you're involved in a major car or truck accident, my team is on your side. You don't have to be alone. Let's do this together.
And I'm Steven Samuels. When you're hurt at work, my team is with you from start to finish. We're people with a passion for helping injured workers. Bring your case to us and stop the worry. We've got this.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Want to
Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
What's up, Gamecocks? Ben Cato, third-generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. If you own a lawnmower, one of two things is probably true. Either you've been putting it through the ringer, mulching up leaves and pine straw all winter, or you haven't touched it in quite some time. Either way, Cato's can get it tuned up, repaired, and ready to work. Weeds are peeking their heads out of the ground, and warm temps mean grass is about to grow. Don't wait until our shop is full. Visit Cato's today and get your lawnmower and grass cutting tools ready to keep you cutting.
This is Bill Gunn for Old Timey Meat Market. I spend my nights with my son, my daughter, enjoying cooking out with Old Timey Meat Market foods, and you need to visit one of their 3 locations: St. Andrews, South Congaree, and Lexington, where you'll find their shelves stocked with various cuts and grades of beef, pork, poultry, seafood, and of course exotic meats. Selections are always fresh, never frozen, competitively priced, and of the absolute highest quality. So get all of your needs at Old Timey Meat Market.
Old Timey Meat Market. Quality selection, a cut above the rest.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Integrated Media, Columbia's leader in today's technology for your home and business. They've got TVs from Sony and Samsung, surround sound systems from Dolby, Sonos wireless speakers, Wi-Fi that works everywhere, even cameras to see what's going on around your home. They've got you covered. Call Integrated Media at 803-948-8327. Set up a time for them to come out to your house and talk with you about your wants and your needs. You want to cut the cord? They can help. Want one of those beautiful Samsung frame TVs that looks like art when it's not turned on? They do that too. Plus fantastic outdoor systems that let you enjoy your favorite team, movie, TV show, or music while you also enjoy our beautiful South Carolina weather. You can even stop in and see them at the Experience Center, 105 Snapdragon Court in Chapin, and get a real idea of what these things look like in your home. Do what I've done, and many of your friends and neighbors. Call 803-948-8327 and get home theater like never before from Integrated Media.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
If you're listening to sports, if you're looking for an edge rusher, looking for a run stuffer, you're looking for a big-time player in the middle of your defense, you're in luck. Mixed with pop culture, sprinkled with celebrity interviews. You hated the title Everybody Loves Raymond. That's true. Is it appropriate for you to tell people to hurry it up?
It's appropriate on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Bill Burr is here.
I want to know who you defeated to get that title as best dad ever.
I'm the Gonzaga of dads. And you're enjoying the Rich Eisen Show podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
What team sprung a leak this weekend? Sponsored by American Leak Detection.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. It's our head and Sam Spruill along with you here on your Monday on the Game. Don Staley speaking on Carolina Calls coming up tomorrow night, 6 o'clock right here on the Game in Columbia and 100.3 The Game out in Myrtle Beach, as she can talk about how her team sprung a leak as we get into our Who Sprung a Leak segment brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection, as the number 2 Gamecocks went on the road yesterday to take on the number 4 Texas Longhorns. They fall 66-62, only their second loss of the regular season, first regular season conference loss since December 30th of 2021 against Missouri in overtime. This does not happen very often, and kind of coupling this with the Chiefs losing last night, when dynasties lose, it feels very weird because you're just not used to seeing it happen, right?
I almost thought Don Staley was going on the bench last night and was like, well, if the Eagles us and the Eagles can't both win, it would have been too much of a double whammy for her. But yeah, I think it was interesting that it was weird seeing 2 dynasties fall kind of in the same night. One, on the biggest stage in the NFL. One, thankfully, this was just a regular season game, though.
Yeah, no, this doesn't, derail anything that Carolina's going after for the purposes of chasing another national championship. Could it affect your seeding down the line? Sure, but again, all your goals are still in front of you as opposed to losing at the very end like the Chiefs did last night. But I said this earlier. When they played in Columbia a couple weeks ago, Carolina physically dominated that game, contested a lot of shots, didn't allow Texas to get clean looks the entire game. Texas was still rebounding the ball very well, but Carolina was just was muddying it up, not giving them any chance to put the ball in the basket, and it kind of flipped last night or yesterday afternoon, where Texas, and Don Staley said it after the game, was the more physical team for at least 3 of those 4 quarters.
There were a lot of second chance efforts, a lot of second chance opportunities that I thought Texas got that really kind of keep them in the driver's seat. And when you even just kind of look at the box score, I know we kind of talk about, South Carolina, typically sometimes they get a slower start in some of these games, whether it's the first quarter and then they kind of bounce back in the second and third. This second quarter, they only scored 11 points and shot roughly 26% from the field. I mean, the third quarter was a great bounce back, but then you can't finish with a 13-point fourth quarter after that. I mean, we had kind of talked about, slow starts like that. Is it really a concern? And it wasn't really, because they would ultimately kind of find their footing in the second half. But when you're giving up so many second chance points, and then you also only shoot maybe 25%, roughly 25% from the field in the second quarter, that's kind of a hard formula to then come out at the end with a win.
Yeah. Look, Carolina has not been the, most efficient at times when it comes to shooting free throws. 75% on the season, which solid, you would say. Below that yesterday, 15 of 23 from the line, and when a game as close as this, when you're missing 8 free throws, that comes back to bite you. That's huge. And again, when you look on the other side of things, that Texas wasn't much better at 14 for 21. Those kind of things do add up. Those kind of things do matter. And once again, Texas wins the rebounding battle. But what really sticks out to me is paint points. They outscored Carolina 40-26 in the paint. That is where Carolina typically makes their money, is down under the basket, where it's physical, where defense matters a lot down there. That is usually where Carolina wins out. It's rare to see a team own them like that the way that Texas did.
Yeah, they might have come in with a little bit of they wanted to kind of, settle the score from, getting dominated in that first game. And I also kind of liked how the Gamecocks kind of played in transition. I thought that Fawiley had some great court vision, and if they capitalized on that a little bit more, it would have made up for the points in the paint that they did give up to Texas. But I think that Texas probably came into that game with a little bit more aggression, just because they knew that was kind of what separated the score in the last matchup.
And much like the Chiefs, watching this game, Carolina never led the entire time.
Yeah,
but even those last couple minutes, when it's still a one-score game, like, okay, there's going to be a moment. Somebody's going to do something huge that's going to change everything, and Carolina may only lead for the last minute, but they're going to lead nonetheless. They're going to find a way to win this game. And when Tessa Johnson throws the layup essentially behind the basket and just kind of went off to the side, I was like, ooh, that seemed like that could have been the moment, and it wasn't. And again, obviously Carolina doesn't end up winning the game.
Yeah, I just going back to, watching dynasties, I feel like to your point, you're always waiting for something to happen. You're like, okay, this is going to be that moment where they show the world. This is why they're a dynasty again. But, there's no unlimited amount of those. They, they expire eventually at some point. And actually, the exact shot you're talking about, the one where she kind of threw the ball over the basket in almost an out of control kind of way. Like, we don't really see that from this Gamecocks team. They usually look, very poised and controlled. Their shots are usually, very relaxed. So that was kind of like I guess nothing's going to happen, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that was 15 seconds to go. And the Texas goes down the other end, makes their free throws, makes a 2-score game. And that was pretty much it. So again, and shout out to the Texas fans for not storming the court. I kind of thought like, oh man, they're going to storm the court and it's going to look even worse. But like, that was very much like, hey, been there, done that before kind of thing, which, we've gotten a little too over anxious with court storming these days. It was nice to see a team choose not to do that.
Well, and what, you're going to do it over a regular season game, and they had already beaten you earlier in the season? I mean, if they had maybe swept the regular season series with this team, that'd be one argument they could probably make, but
sure,
they're settling the score. You can't storm the court if you're settling the score.
Well, let's hear what Dawn Staley had to say after the game on if this might be a wake-up call for her team going forward.
Well, we fought in this particular game. There's some things that we definitely can get better at. This type of game is just you're just trying to survive. You can't really run your offenses, and, players have to make plays at that point because you can design a play up, but they can blow it up with their defense, and they did that a lot tonight. It's unfamiliar territory for us. This is the first game that we lost in 2 years, I think. The law of averages say at some point somebody's going to get you. I'm just glad they didn't get us where we can't survive. Like, we still control our own destiny. We do have to look around a little bit and hope somebody knocks Texas off so we can, or LSU off so we can control it for the rest of the way. I'm sure they're going to think the same thing with us as well.
And look, she's right. Nobody goes undefeated forever. You do have losses. This is very rarefied territory where 95% of the programs in the country would kill to only have 2 losses at this point and still likely be ranked somewhere in the top 5 or around there. So it's not, the sky isn't falling, to say the least. But how do you take what happened last night or yesterday afternoon and use it going forward? Because again, when they lost to UCLA and they got dominated in that game too, boom, they came out and started just beating the mess out of teams in the days after that and the weeks after that. And obviously, playing in a tough conference like the SEC, you tripped up. It happens. No big deal. Still your goals in front of you. But how do you learn from what you did yesterday or didn't do and make it better going forward? Because guess what? You still got more tough opponents coming up.
I think at this point in the season is arguably a better point than rather in the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year, because you still have time to kind of work through some of the kinks that might not necessarily be polished up that you need to have set and ready to go for that postseason run to make another run at a national championship. However, I do think that I just think that it could be a momentum killer, but it's also kind of in a middle part of the season where it's not necessarily it couldn't completely, be a showstopper. So I think that I think it could hurt them, but I definitely think it can give them more material to kind of go back and reflect on so that if they need to polish up on anything, they're not going into the postseason thinking, oh, we've got everything polished and ready to go. It's a lot easier to say that, especially when you've won every game in the regular season, but you're more curious to see how to fix, kinks in the armor if you've maybe lost a game or two.
Well, their next opportunity is coming up on Thursday, taking on Florida, 6:30, the pregame for a 7 o'clock tip right here on the game as they look to get back on a new winning streak in conference play and close out the regular season in a very strong way. We'll jump back into the Super Bowl conversation coming up next, halftime show, and we haven't even touched on the commercials today. Oh boy, were there some commercials last night.
There's some good ones.
We'll talk about that coming up next. It is The Extra Point. Tyler and Sam Shapiro along with you here on your Monday on The Game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Boomer Esiason with the Sports Minute, sponsored by Empower. Invest well so you could live a little at Empower.com. Super Bowl 59 was not Patrick Mahomes' night, of course. Poorly protected by a makeshift offensive line, Mahomes threw 2 picks, lost a fumble, and couldn't conjure that comeback magic. I let you all down today, he told Chiefs Kingdom, adding, "We will be back." I'm Boomer Esiason.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy, just use Indeed. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Once again, that's Indeed.com/credit.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit CantyCanFixIt.com.
Alan Kennington, responsible for this ad. Office in 1440 Broad River Road, Columbia, South Carolina.
You're hurt. With over 85,000 cases resolved, 12 offices across the state, and over $1 billion recovered in just the past 10 years, you need South Carolina's largest injury law firm on your side. You need George Sink now. George Sink knows South Carolina, and George Sink lawyers will help you every step of the way on your recovery.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-9999.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
I've just been feeling so sluggish lately. You should try the Metamucil 2-Week Challenge. The Metamucil 2-Week Challenge? Yeah, Metamucil 4-in-1 Fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Start your daily routine now, and in 2 weeks, you could be feeling great. Well, it's been 2 weeks. How you feeling? Lighter and feeling great.
If you want to feel lighter by promoting digestive health, sign up to take the 2-week challenge at Metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The Extra Point
with Tyler Head and Gamecock Central
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler and Sam Shapiro, along with you here on your Monday, recapping all things Super Bowl 59. The game itself, not the most interesting, unless you're just a diehard Eagles fan, then you're probably the greatest day of your entire life. So, more time to focus on the other things that happened, like the halftime show and the commercials. What was your take on Kendrick Lamar at halftime?
You know, I kind of went into it assuming he was going to use the opportunity to diss Drake on arguably one of the biggest music stages of all time.
Yep.
I didn't think that he was going to kind of use it as like, I love how he broke the fourth wall in his performance and was like, I know you want me to do it. And the dancers were kind of like, do what? And he kind of just played the beginning beat and he was like, not yet.
Yeah, because he said something about they'll sue us. And then he looped back to it.
And then
Yeah.
Love that he had Serena Williams incorporated in there too, because that was like, if the whole They Not Like Us was enough of a sting, that was like the icing on the cake.
And here's the thing for me, because I've seen a lot of negative reactions to this. And if you don't know who Kendrick Lamar is and you don't understand the lore behind what was happening in the performance, you were probably confused. Because you're like, what? Why is Serena Williams out there? What's he talking about? Like, if you don't know, that wasn't for you because you don't get the references being made. But man, if you're a diehard fan and you followed the beef, you followed all these things, then last night was probably your favorite Super Bowl performance of all time.
Yeah, I also kind of watched it like, I was thinking, you know, he kind of did it in a way that, like you were saying, if you kind of didn't really understand the nature of the beef, you didn't really know exactly what was going on. But if you followed the beef, you were kind of like, oh, J. Cole is sitting at home on his couch, like laughing, drinking a glass of scotch right now. Like, no doubt in my mind, he was like, that is why I backed out, and I do not regret I can't blame him.
Yeah, no, I think the consensus was that Kendrick already won the beef last year with Drake. He dug him up and buried him again last night, 6 feet further down.
Oh, entirely. And now if the entire country didn't already see it, probably most of the world had seen it now too. I just think it's very funny that my one argument was that he played a lot of his new music and then kind of snowballed it into being like, okay, I'm just going to use this to diss Drake.
Sure.
He is one of the most talented rappers of all time and has one of the greatest discographies to go through.
Yep.
Like, you have one of the biggest opportunities to perform in front of one of the biggest audiences ever. And instead of like showing off, your lengthy history of amazing music, you're going to use this opportunity to diss somebody.
Yeah, well, that's what he chose to do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was great, and he completely annihilated Drake. But I think he's so talented that he wasted a great opportunity to show that talent as well.
Any commercials that stood out to you from last night?
Oh my gosh, the Seal Baja Blast commercial was awesome.
That's gonna be a hard one to forget.
That is gonna be a really hard one to forget. Especially, that's a good looking seal. That was great. That was great.
I got this list here from Yahoo Sports that's grading, I think, all of them. And the one that was teased a couple weeks ago, the Hellman's mayonnaise, when Harry Met Sally, and then Sydney Sweeney's there at the very end.
Oh, geez.
That was given an A. Now, I do wonder, like, a lot of people that may not know who Sydney Sweeney is, that may not get that. Like, because you're talking about two different eras. Like, okay, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, and then Sydney Sweeney. Maybe not everybody knows both of those.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't get that one. It was definitely like there's a lot of celebrity presence in these Super Bowl commercials.
Oh yeah.
So where if you're not up on the latest celebrities, you may have been like, I don't know who that person is. It's going over my head.
Wasn't Snoop Dogg in a few commercials?
Snoop was in one. He and Tom Brady did the anti-hate
I hate
commercial.
You.
Yeah, that one. He may have been in another one. I don't remember. Again, there's so many commercials to take in. It's hard to keep up with all of them. I will say, at least on this list, the ones they ranked at the very bottom was the one with tongues and Coffee Mate, where the dude's tongue flies off and it's very weird.
I'm glad I missed that one then.
And then there was the Hex-clad cooking pans with Gordon Ramsay, where there was like an alien. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like I'm glad I kind of missed those ones. Two that also kind of stuck out, there was one, they had like sloths doing a bunch of random things.
That was good.
That was a pretty funny one.
Because that was, I want to say that was the Coors Light case of the Mondays.
Probably.
It's like, oh, you're slow, you're dragging, and then they had hands on the case of beer, and it has Mondays on it.
I like seeing Peyton Manning with the extended coolers.
Yes. So I had already seen, that's the thing that, I hate about the modern era of Super Bowl commercials. A lot of them do get released before the Super Bowl to where there's not the surprise. I had seen the Shane Gillis Post Malone Bud Light commercial already on Twitter, YouTube, or something like that. So that wasn't a surprise. And it was the whole thing. So some of these companies go ahead and release their stuff days ahead of time to where it's not I love the surprise. Like the Doritos abduction commercial. I'd seen that one before too.
Dang. That was a good one also.
Yeah. And look, Budweiser still surprises people where the Clydesdale pushes the keg into the bar and all that kind of stuff. So, but a lot of them have gotten to the point where they're like, hey, we'll go ahead and release it on Wednesday or whatever.
The one that also kind of threw me for a loop, well, first it was the Green Giant, and then it was the OxyClean guy, and then the next thing I knew, I was like, okay, this is just a hosh-posh of advertisements in one, and then they're like, Instacart.
Yeah. You can get everything delivered. I get that.
So do all of those companies also get ad revenue or I was just thinking so how do you get all those companies in that one ad and then that gets the okay?
That is a question for somebody else because I honestly do not know.
Yeah, no, I've never seen so many different companies collaborate on one commercial. Yep. So that one stood out to me too.
Let's see here. The Pringles Call Your Mustaches was also pretty good.
Yeah.
Nick Offerman was in that one. James Harden lost his mustache but kept the rest of his beard, which was very bizarre looking.
I had some friends that had never seen pictures of James Harden before.
He looks like a completely different person.
Oh, my God. They were like, I've been bamboozled. They were like, exactly, it's a different person. I've been catfished thinking that James Harden looked completely different, and nope, just look at his headshots from Arizona State, and you'll think it's a completely different player.
That's right. Well, football season's come to an end. We'll navigate the next 6 to 7 months and wait for it to return, I guess.
Well, at least we got baseball around the corner.
That's true. Baseball coming up this weekend, getting started. That'll do it for the Extra Point. Coming up next, Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs on your Monday here in the game.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
What I was told was bone on bone. I was going to have knee replacement, and I do not like surgery.
Desperate to avoid surgery, Julie decided to check out QC Kinetics non-surgical regenerative treatments.
My daughter actually works in a Chapel Hill, North Carolina lab, and I sent her all of the information that I was given, and she's like, "Oh, Mom, this is for you. I've heard great things about this." She's like, "You need to try it before ever doing surgery."
Julie started the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments right in the office, using her own healing properties to help restore her damaged tissue.
I know, my daughter was right. Yeah, it's nice when you've got that person you can go to who might have a little bit more information, especially on the science of it. QC Kinetics, it's life-changing.
Find out if you're a good candidate. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
Bill Gunner here for Ecton Law Firm. I tell you, if you've been having tax troubles, they're bothering you, they're weighing you down, you don't need to let that happen any longer. Let the stress of taxes be taken care of by the Ecton Law Firm. Set up a free consultation today, 803-771-9800. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. At the Ecton Law Firm, they understand the challenges you or your business could face. That's why John Ecton and his team are ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. With proven local solutions, they've helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours escape the IRS maze. So take the first steps to a worry-free life today by contacting the Ecton Law Firm, 803-771-9800, or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com, the John Ecton Law Firm.
You can count on hot summers in the Midlands.
You can count on those South Carolina roads biting.
And when you end up with a broken windshield, you can certainly count on Absolute Glass.
With one phone call, we can repair, replace, and recalibrate your car's windshield.
We'll handle the insurance calls, and for most folks, it won't cost you a dime to let us fix your windshield.
Absolute Glass has been voted Lexington's best for 15 years straight.
So call Absolute Glass at 951-7200.
Or find us online at absoluteglassinc.com.
And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of GE appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Jeffers McGill offers the best customer service and lowest price on every GE make and model, including GE Profile, Monogram, and Cafe brands. Jeffers McGill and GE, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Hey Gamecocks, Ben Cato, Cato's Power Equipment. Y'all, it's the season of love. And while there's nothing wrong with chocolate or flowers, the team at Cato's wants to help make the grass cutter in your life feel a little special. So say I love you with the new Toro or Gravely Zero Turn. Durable and dependable, reliable and strong. Get your dreamy loved one the lawnmower of their dreams. Come see us today at Cato's Power Equipment.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
11 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. I would usually say Tyler, Wes, and Chris, but yeah, just me today. Wes and Chris are at or I think they're on their way to an event. I believe they said in Nashville, if I remember correctly, at the end of last week. So they'll be out for the next couple days as we'll get them here towards the end of the week. But for the next couple days, flying solo here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Plenty to dive into, especially today, because, of course, Super Bowl taking place yesterday. The unfortunate part about a Super Bowl like we got last night is it does not provide as much substance as we would like. Because here's the thing. For the purposes of this job, we want stories. We root for stories, we root for angles, root for things that we can really dive into and explore different sides of and the good and the bad and all this kind of stuff, what this means going forward. And every game is going to give you that to some degree. But if we would have gotten, say, the Super Bowl that we got 2 years ago with the Eagles and the Chiefs, where it comes down to the very end and Mahomes leads another late game drive to win the game with the late field goal and all that kind of stuff, then, man, there's a lot of substance there. And, we could spend hours upon hours just really breaking down the minute details and what happened, what didn't happen, what went right, what went wrong in terms of the game there. We have a game like last night where just one team just physically dominates the other, and a blowout that was way more than the 18-point final margin of victory would suggest. There's not a whole lot of substance there, and it's hard to really peel back the layers on a game like that because it's so one-sided. But we'll talk about it plenty more as the day goes along and what this means, obviously, for not only the Philadelphia Eagles, but to also the Kansas City Chiefs going forward, as they just missed out on the chance to win 3 straight Super Bowls, again, something that's never been done in the Super Bowl era. But other things happened this past weekend, including basketball. Starting off with men's basketball on Saturday. And look, I was wrong. I had a undeserved sense of confidence on Friday for whatever reason. I don't know. Sometimes you just wake up and you feel good about something or have a feeling something's going to happen. And that's how I felt on Friday when we were previewing this game. I'm like, look, I know Carolina's 0-9 in conference play. They're going to Rupp against a team in Kentucky that has shown flashes of being one of the better ones in the SEC at times this year, though they had been scuffling a little bit in the past couple games leading into it. I'm like, I just felt like Saturday might finally be that game for Lamont Paris' team where they finally figure out a way to win. Oh, boy, was I wrong. Because not only did they lose, they lost by 23 points. Another blowout, to go in line with Oklahoma and Mississippi State and Alabama early on in the season. Just another brutal, brutal loss for a team. Now drops to 0-10 in conference play. Poor Jordan Butler, who now, I believe, is 0-29 in SEC games between 0-18 last year in the regular season at Missouri, the conference tournament loss, and now 0-10 at Carolina. Yeah, he's never won a conference game, so he's almost hit the 30 mark, which could very well happen coming up on Wednesday when they take on Ole Miss in terms of, conference losses there. Did you care about this game at all? I said this on Friday that, especially with the weather being as nice as it was over the weekend, that, like, man, a 12 noon tip on a Saturday where the sun's out and it's temperatures in the 70s, most people aren't going to watch this game. Or it's one of those things that you may check the score of on your phone. And if it's close at the end, you may find a way to flip it on real quick and see what happens. But for the most part, I feel like most people had kind of checked out from this game. I didn't really even see, I always like to kind of scan Twitter after games to see what the people's, what y'all's response are to things like that. And, again, if anything, it was more negative. But I just didn't see a whole lot of people talking about it, right? Because, again, it just feels like with everything going on, and especially with the weather finally breaking, most people just probably found other things to do on Saturday besides watch this game. But at the end of the day, it is another loss, another one by a lot of points, this one by 23, against a team that Coach Paris had a pretty good track record against going into this game, but things obviously ended up going sideways once again on Saturday. Here's Coach Paris after the game talking about, well, just another tough loss.
All right, that's a tough one. had a great crowd, great environment. I mean, that's probably to be expected. When we came in here 2 years ago, they had a great crowd, a great environment, and a good team. And we played well that day and won that game. Today, we didn't play well. We didn't play well enough. I thought there was one particular stretch in the second half where the lead was at 9 and it went to 20. It seemed like in a blink of an eye, and trying to get that settled down. That's kind of been a microcosm of what's happened to us in some instances, is that we have a stretch. It happened at Oklahoma where in the second half it was 6-point game with 6 left, and in a couple of minutes I look down and it's almost 20. And so we're continually trying to figure out what the decisions are and the plays, even if they're not decisions, just the physical plays that lead to those things happening. So, but they did some good things in the second half. I thought we did a good job in the first half defensively. We let a couple guys get away from us. We gave up some easy ones in the second half. They capitalized on that, and then we just weren't able to keep pace offensively. We didn't make shots. We didn't have guys that performed particularly well. Not to take anything away at all from what they did defensively, but we had some guys that did not perform particularly well, and that makes it hard at this level. Period. But you come into a place like this, a couple of guys got to feel like they had it going, and it was their day offensively, and we didn't have guys doing that.
Feels very wash, rinse, repeat from a lot of the pressers that Coach Paris has had, unfortunately, this season. Now, again, they played a lot of really good teams close. This was an example of intense tapping on the road, just getting your doors blown off by a much, much better team. And in basketball, you only have 5 guys on the court at a time. You can't just be a one-player team. You have to be a lot deeper than that. And Saturday, if you didn't already believe it, should have reinforced to you that this team is absolutely nothing without Colin Murray-Boyles, who is their best player, undoubtedly. But outside of that, they really don't have much of anything, at least nothing consistent. For Colin Murray-Boyles on Saturday, he went out there and was able to lead the team in scoring. 14 points, 5-13 from the field, grabbed 8 rebounds, but only played 29 minutes because he got in foul trouble with a little under 6 to play in the first half and missed a good portion of minutes there. And then obviously with subbing in and out, ended up playing less than 30 minutes, which is not his norm. For the 11 minutes that Colin Murray-Boyles was not on the court on Saturday, Carolina was 3 of 15 from the field and scored a total of 7 points. They couldn't do anything when their best player was not on the court. And again, yes, your best player is going to give you the best version of your team, but to not be able to shoot 20% from the field when he's not out there is pathetic. And again, it's a not great defensive team in Kentucky. Again, offensively, they speak for themselves, but they've not been the most aggressive defensive team compared to some of the teams that you've played so far and hung in there with. But again, when Colin Murray-Boyles is not on the court, this team just can't function properly. And Saturday reinforced that once again. And in fact, when you look just at the conference slate alone, when Colin Murray-Boyles plays less than 30 minutes, this team's getting run over. Saturday, 29 minutes, lose by 23. The Oklahoma game a couple weeks ago, where he ended up fouling out in that game, played 22 minutes, you lose by 20. The Alabama game, the second game of the conference slate, and again, he got off to a very slow start in conference play. Between Mississippi State and Alabama, he scored 11 total points. Against Alabama in 28 minutes, he plays. They lose by 20. Against Mississippi State, I meant to say 30 or under in terms of total minutes played. Mississippi State only plays 30 minutes, and they get beat by 35. So when he's not on the court for, 10 or more minutes, this team, that's where it goes wrong. This team falls apart. And again, it's something that I feel like we've kind of known, but Saturday once again kind of reaffirmed that if you didn't already believe it or you were on the fence about it. Like, no, this team without Colin Murray-Boyles on the court is nothing, and you can't be a one-man team in basketball and expect to be successful. And as the conversation that we've had time and time again, part of this is on the players for not being able to go out there and execute the way they need to, but part of it is on the coaching staff as well for not compiling the pieces around your best player to be the most successful. And again, is that guys in the portal that don't want to play for Coach Paris is an NIL thing? We don't know. But we know, compared to the past year, where you won in the transfer portal by getting a ton of guys that came in and fit what you were trying to do, and obviously you rode that to a NCAA tournament appearance. This year was a complete other direction. It's just not, it's not working. And I feel like we've been talking in circles about this team for over a month now because it's the same thing over and over again. If it's not turning the ball over, which Saturday actually, compared to how they'd been, turnovers were not egregiously bad. 9 matched what Kentucky did, and Kentucky's a team that not been forcing a lot of turnovers as of late. So compared to what Carolina had been doing, that was actually a little bit of a step in the right direction, somewhat. Free throws, 15 of 23, not the best. Shooting under your usual percentage there. Got Alba rebounded, which it's happened a lot this year. And again, outside of your best player, nobody else is productive. You're struggling to pass the ball. You're struggling to dribble the ball. Like, it's just, Jamari Thomas launching threes from midcourt. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing here? And it gets to the point, I guess, where you're just throwing the kitchen sink at it because, we'll see what happens. I mean, you got nothing else to lose, right? Then maybe there's that carefree attitude. Carelessness maybe is the right word that you're playing with, but it's not fun to watch. And your hope at this point is that you can be what Missouri is right now, where you're number one in Adidas skates, one of the best stories in the SEC. Last year, one of the worst in the SEC by losing every single game. Again, Jordan Butler had a front row seat for for all of that. And then this year, they've obviously got themselves back. And you can only hope, hopefully you don't have to lose every conference game, but you hope you can have the type of Missouri-type turnaround for 25 and 26. Because, again, there's no redeeming quality about this season for South Carolina basketball. Outside of going on the most miraculous of miraculous runs of the SEC tournament, you're not going to go, you got nothing after that. So it's going to be a long off season to really kind of look yourself in the mirror and reevaluate and say, okay, what do we need to do differently here? What didn't work this year? What did work? A lot didn't work, obviously. And how can we be better? Because, look, Coach Paris isn't losing his job for having a bad third season. But if you don't improve in 2025 and 26, then the conversation does come up like, is this the guy? Having one good season out of the first 4, not good for a program in what is now the toughest basketball conference in the entire country. So, you still got games to play, but man, putting as much focus in you can in the offseason and what you're going to do to rebuild this roster up, very important for Coach Paris and his coaching staff as they try and salvage something out of whatever the season has left in it. There'll be an action coming up on Wednesday, taking on Ole Miss, 6:30 pregame for 7 o'clock tip here on the game in Columbia, as well as 100.3 the game in Myrtle Beach. Then Coach Paris will be on Carolina Calls on Thursday at 6 o'clock right here on the game in Columbia, and 100.3 the game in Myrtle Beach as well. Hear more from Coach Staley after last night's yesterday afternoon's women's basketball loss to another top 5 team in Texas, and what this means going forward for her crew. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Tyler Head flying solo. Wes and Chris will be back a little bit later on in the week here on your Monday on the game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? Well, the 107.5 The Game app is free. Yes, free. Just download the 107.5 The Game app.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
All right, guys, before I give up the mic, let me tell you about our friends at Firehouse Subs. Lunchtime is upon us. Hit up our friends at Firehouse by going to firehousesubs.com or by using the Firehouse Subs app. Hitting the Rapid Rescue to go, avoid the wait, order online. One of the best parts about it, other than the great food, is you're going to get points every single time you order. Then you can trade those points in for free food. If you want to try something new, try the new French dip on a garlic butter roll. It's got premium roast beef. It's got the au jus on the side, 2 types of cheese, caramelized onions. It is fantastic, just like all the other great options at Firehouse Subs. We know you got a favorite, but again, if you want to try something new, hit the French dip. My number one, still brisket, add bacon. Tyler says add the hot sauce from the Hot Sauce Bar, which is back with a ton of awesome options from mild to very, very hot. Whatever it is you want, they got something for you at Firehouse Subs.
If you don't know what to get, our staff can help you get exactly the right Valentine's Day gift. And this particular year, diamond studs are the hottest thing going. We have them starting with quarter-carat total weights for just $99. So come see us at Traditions on Sunset in Lexington and at Sand Hills across from the fountain.
AAA Heating and Air is on the hunt to find the oldest AC unit in our Midland service area. Do you think it could be yours? If you do, it could pay off. AAA Heating and Air and My Oldest AC contest is kicking off, and you have a chance to win a new HVAC system for your home. Just head over to their website, myoldAir.com, and complete the online entry form. AAA Heating and Air will draw a winner at random for every 100 entries. It really is that easy. Contest is limited time only. Residents in the AAA Heating and Air service area are eligible to enter. See the terms and rules on their website for a full list of contest rules.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Shepherd's Glass has provided commercial, residential, and auto glass installation, repair, and replacement to Columbia for over 50 years. Large retail storefronts, auto, custom shower enclosures, and mirrors for that remodeling or new construction project. Visit shepherdsglass.com to see and learn more. Now with 2 locations on Platte Springs Road in West Columbia and Chapin at 855 Chapin Road. shepherdsglass.com.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
Honey, would you take a seat? I have a confession to make.
What is it? What's wrong?
Well, I was out driving today and I saw some hookers on the side of the road. A bunch of huge, professional, beautiful-looking hookers. So I did what I was supposed to do. I slowed down and I moved over.
You slowed down for the hookers?
Well, yeah, it's the law. There was a whole fleet of Schroeder's towing trucks assisting with an accident. Wait, what did you think I was talking about?
Schroeder's Towing reminds you to slow down and move over for all first responders.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Have any plans for Wednesday? If you do, cancel them, because you don't want to miss Free Fave Wednesday at McDonald's. That's right, McDonald's is giving away free menu items every Wednesday. Talk about a midweek pick-me-up. Just head to the deals page in the McDonald's app, and with your minimum $1 purchase, you'll score a free fave. What was once a humble hump day is now a free deal day. Score your next freebie with Free Fave Wednesday only in the McDonald's app. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Offer valid through 5/25/25 at participating McDonald's. Valid once a day. Excludes tax. Must opt into rewards.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
I mean, they disrupted us. I mean, we worked on some things that we could do, to relieve the pressure, but didn't work. I think it's a lot easier when you're practicing and you're not in this environment and it's loud and you can't hear what the play call is. Then you got to improvise a little bit. I thought they did a better job improvising and running their sets. We couldn't disrupt them as much as we disrupted them at our place. So, they returned the favor.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head flying solo again here on your Monday, recapping all things Gamecock basketball from a tough weekend on both fronts. That, of course, Dawn Staley talking yesterday afternoon after falling to Texas 66-62, second loss of the season. Of course, first regular season conference loss since December of 2021 when they lost to the Missouri Tigers in overtime. And again, this doesn't derail the entire season or anything like that. All your goals are still ahead of you, but you never want to lose, and we'll see if they can use this as anything motivating going forward. But like Dawn Staley said, they disrupted her team. I mean, basically Texas took the script of what South Carolina did to them the first time and flipped it and muddied the game up. I mean, it felt like every shot that Carolina took was contested to some degree, couldn't get open looks. And again, the shots didn't fall in the way that they needed to. Shot 37% effectively from the field. It's funny, the men's and women's teams went the exact same from the line at 15 of 23. That's kind of crazy there. Got out rebounded. You know what I mean? It just didn't go the way you needed it to. And again, going to anybody's barn is tough. And especially with a team like Texas that was going to be motivated given the way that you handled them here at Colonial Life Arena, that's tough ass to be in twice in the same season. You may see them again in the SEC tournament, the NCAA tournament, something along those lines. But, they were the better team yesterday. And Dawn Staley was not ashamed to admit that. What Madison Booker, after the game, gave credit to South Carolina, but said, hey, we went out there, won the physicality battle. And she was absolutely right. And that is why they ended up winning the game. I want to get some of your thoughts as well. 803-404-6100. Thomas wants to weigh in on women's basketball yesterday. Thomas, appreciate your call. What's on your mind today?
Yeah. I think our Blaze program is still in a good place there. And I think that's still going to accomplish their goals. But what I saw last night, and just in my opinion, the officials kind of like, I don't know, they just disrupted the whole first quarter. And that's for both teams. I wasn't saying they were being biased. It was just like foul after foul after foul. Midway through the first quarter, I think both teams was in the bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And the announcers were saying, Coach Daly was like, let them play, And I know they called 2 fouls on Bacon. It was clean blocks. But that's my take on it. I just think officials really disrupted the game in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the call there, and you're not wrong. Dawn Staley and Vic Schaefer, I think, were very vocal early on in that game about how aggressive they were with the whistles. And look, these are two teams that are very physical, so I guess their game plan going in as an officiating crew was like, hey, we're not going to let too much things slide. And you're right, 16 fouls between the two teams in that first quarter, 22 in the first half alone. They cooled off a little bit as the game went along. It seems like they started swallowing the whistle a little bit more, loosening up. As again, when you're a coach, your job is to work the officials during the game. And again, Dawn Staley and Schaefer both did that very well. And again, it's like, come on, guys, let's loosen up a little bit here, let them play, because the game did lack a lot of flow and rhythm in that first quarter. Because again, you're stopping and starting and stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And women's basketball does this better than the men's game. Flows a lot better. And I've been on the stance that I think the men's game should go to the quarter system because I think it helps personally. But yeah, Sunday to start things off, not great. Too many fouls, too many ticky-tack things getting called. And like Thomas said, I think they were fair on both sides. It wasn't, hey, they're just calling everything on Carolina and nothing on Texas or vice versa. But it was better when the officials decided to calm things down a little bit and let these two physical defensive teams go out there and play. And again, that's not the reason why Carolina lost the game. They got bested by a team that's pretty darn good and a team that, for a lot of people, it was on the short list going into the season of having a shot at winning the national championship. And, I haven't looked at the odds lately, but that probably helps their odds out a little bit more. In fact, they could prove that they could beat South Carolina. So, again, I'm intrigued to see what this does going forward, right? We go back to the UCLA loss. Well, actually, let's go back to the Final Four loss to Iowa now 2 years ago. They had to fester on that the entire offseason. And they had to assess where they stood as a program, what they do well, what they don't do well, and what they needed to go out there and get to help them get over that hump. They were not the best offensive team. They were a great defensive team, not a great offensive team. went out in the offseason, got what they needed on offense, namely like Tina Pow and upgraded and rode that to an undefeated team season and a national championship. You obviously can't make changes right now while you're in the midst of a season, but you can look yourself in the mirror. Say, okay, why did we lose that game? Why did we lose the game against UCLA earlier on in the season? What can we do to go forward? Because, again, great teams respond when they're humbled a little bit. And, again, as we've said, not that anybody's rooting for losses, but sometimes losses can help, right? Especially in a game like basketball where you play a million games, and even losing 4 or 5 games doesn't derail your chance of winning a national championship. You might knock down a couple seeds, but all your goals are still in front of you. So how do you use this, much like the UCLA game, as your motivating tool going forward? Saying, okay, we lost. Here's why we lost. What can we do better? Because guess what? There's going to be a lot more physical teams, a lot of tough teams. You may see Texas again here in a couple weeks, or a month from now, I guess, in the SEC tournament. You may see them again in the NCAA tournament. You don't know. You may run into UCLA again, for all we know. There's a lot of good teams out there in college basketball, as, it seems like, not that Carolina has fallen back to the pack, but it seems like these other programs are starting to catch up to where, you may not rule with the iron fist that you once did in terms of just being head and shoulders above everybody else. Like, there's a lot of good teams in women's basketball this year, and Carolina's probably going to have to face several more of them before this year is over and done with. So we'll see there. We'll jump back into the Super Bowl coming up next. Wes and I, because Chris wasn't here on Friday, did our usual buy or sell with things happening in yesterday's Super Bowl. We're going to dive back into that, see what we got right, see what we got wrong, and see how things ended up the way they were with the Eagles picking up the 44-22 win over the Chiefs. But first, as we head into this break, speaking of women's basketball, back in action coming up on Thursday as they take on the Florida Gators. Tip will be at 7 o'clock. Pregame coverage is 6:30 right here on the game. I have 2 family 4-packs tickets to go see that game over at Colonial Life Arena for callers number 4 and 5 right now at 803-404-6100. Win yourself a family 4-pack of tickets to go see Dawn Staley's team hopefully start a new winning streak in conference play and keep up the winning streak they have over at Colonial Life Arena as well. Callers number 4 and 5, 803-404-6100 as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along here on the game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network, powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Check out the Season of Love at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 in Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Nothing says I love you like a clean home. This Valentine's Day, call the cleaning pros at Zerorez right now. Mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 2 rooms of carpet clean for free with 2 rooms for $119. Book online, ZerorezColumbia.com.
Hey, this is Ray.
And Mary Ann with Absolute Glass.
We've been blessed to serve the Midlands glass needs for 20 years.
We have been fortunate enough to help thousands of customers with the best glass service in town, in our store, and all over the Midlands.
Sure, we can fix your windshield, usually at no cost to you.
But at Absolute Glass, we can also care for all your other glass needs too.
Home windows, shower doors, tabletops, shelving, storefronts, and all your commercial needs.
Contact us at 803-951-7200 or at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
I'm John Morgan. When you call Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, your very own army springs into action immediately. 24/7. Our investigators, legal staff, and over 900 lawyers work together to fight to get you the best result as quickly and easily as possible. Insurance companies know who we are, and now you know it too. This firm was built for greatness. This firm was built for you. Injured? Call your army. We're ready to roll. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Let's go inside the nest.
Hey, my name is Danny Johnson with RDJ Remodeling. Recently, I got a custom job of a lifetime. This project was going to
command a group of professionals who I could count on to understand the speed of business and get us answers in a timely manner. Rachel at the Nest and all of her coworkers, including the guys at the warehouse, have gone out of their way to be helpful. Their pricing has been in line with our expectations. Found a business I can count on. The Nest has truly been great to work with. Thank you, guys.
Come see for yourself at The Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street in the Vista.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Messaging data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Honey!
What's wrong? I thought you already left for work.
The garage door is broken. It won't open and I can't get my car out. I can't miss this meeting today. Everyone is coming in for it.
Relax. I'm texting OGD right now.
What is OGD?
OGD, Overhead Garage Door. They're the garage door experts in Columbia. Take my car in the driveway and OGD will handle the garage. They have same-day service and they'll get the garage door fixed today. Fast and easy.
Wait, with just one text, you can get our garage door fixed same day by OGD?
Yes, OGD will get it done, no problem. Now, you need to get to work and let OGD worry about the garage door.
Garage door broken, stuck, slow, or squeaky? Text OGD, the only name you need for your garage door. Text TIGHT to 200-300 right now. Text right now and get an exclusive link to special limited time savings. Don't wait. Text the word TIGHT to 200-300 now. Text TIGHT to 200-300.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/radio, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Enjoy up to 70% off premium products, designer handbags, gift cards from national chains, autographed sports memorabilia, cruises, hotel accommodations, and more. Sweetdeals.com. Click premium.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet on the Game Network.
These guys did not want to let each other down. And yesterday in the meeting, they talked about not wanting this to be over. That's special. And they said the only way it's not over is if we have a parade and a ring ceremony later. So I guess it's not this 2024 Eagle team's not done yet. We got a couple more things to celebrate. I love these guys. Again, it just keeps coming back to, you know, you cannot be great without the greatness of others. This is the best team sport there is. Look at that. This is the best team sport there is, and you need the efforts of everybody, and it took everybody.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head along with you on your Monday. That, of course, was the voice of Nick Sirianni last night after winning his first career Super Bowl as a head coach, second trip there in the past 3 years, talking about the togetherness of that Eagles team. And that is something that has been perhaps the most controversial thing of his entire tenure with that team so far, which, again, it's only 4 years, but constant questions about the culture, the locker room, the dynamic between him and Jalen Hurts, the dynamic between him and A.J. Brown, all this kind of stuff, him and his coordinators, all these kind of things that have transpired, but they still found a way to win. And that's credit to him. And look, I was one of those people that, you know, I've been critical of Sirianni myself. You know, how much is it him and how much is it his offensive coordinator, or his coordinator specifically? Because, again, they did really well 2 years ago when they made the Super Bowl with Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon as OC and DC. Those guys go away. Things fall apart at the end of last year, and they get embarrassed in the first round of the playoffs against the Buccaneers. Go out there, you get Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio and turn things right around. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes into the coordinators and the success they have. But, again, Sirianni does deserve a lot of credit for, for steering the ship, right? And again, we don't know all the dynamics between him and Hurts and him and A.J. Brown and him and the fans, quite frankly. But they're winning. I mean, in 4 seasons, they're 48-20. They've now been to 2 Super Bowls. Has a postseason record of 6-3. Like, this guy is off to a great start, all things considered, in his first 4 years at Philadelphia. And I know that Andy Reid is considered to be the greatest Eagles head coach of all time and was there for a long time, took him to a Super Bowl, never won one. And if Sirianni continues on this path that he's currently on, he'll probably end up being the best coach in Eagles history. Now, again, it's very early on in the tenure to say that. That's, not a slam dunk guarantee. But, man, you got to tip your cap to the way that they've started things in his tenure so far. And, again, with pretty much everything coming back, it seems like there's no reason to think they're not going to be in the short list once again of being the favorites to win the Super Bowl coming up, coming up next year. And this is such an interesting season, for the Eagles, because really their only 2 true losses came early in the season. They lost to the Falcons and the Buccaneers over the course of 3 weeks. They started the season 2-2. And that was the point in time where all the Eagles fans were like, oh, man, this Sirianni guy is not going to work out. Better get him out of here. Things falling apart after the collapse they had at the end of the 2023 season to start off the year at 2-2 against 2 teams that people didn't think were all that great, and the Falcons and the Buccaneers. It's like, I don't know. Seems like this season might go sideways. And they proceeded to, for all intents and purposes, not lose another regular season game. They lost to the Commanders late in the year. Jalen Hurts got hurt early in that game, and Kenny Pickett came in, and they lost that game by 3. I don't hold that against them as much, but what a run. What an incredible run. And then the postseason, speaks for itself. I mean, the game against the Packers, 22-10, it really wasn't that close when you really go back and watch it. Tighter game against the Rams. They dismantle the Commanders, a team that, much like Kansas City, much like the Rams before them, we thought, hey, potent offense can really maybe give this defense some trouble. No problem at all. Beat them by 32 points, and then to do what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the more impressive Super Bowl wins you're ever going to see. And again, I don't root for those kind of things to happen because I want to see a compelling game. But, man, we're going to be talking about this Eagles team, especially that defense, for a very, very long time to come with what they were able to accomplish. That being said, on Friday, going into the game, as we do each and every Friday here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs, we do our buy or sell. And Chris wasn't here, so it was just me and Wes on Friday as we projected on things we might see happen in the Super Bowl on Sunday. And I want to kind of go back and through and see what we got right and see what we got wrong. In fact, I feel like we should start doing this a little bit more next year, especially during Gamecock football season, to kind of reassess things, maybe keep scores well, and see who can be the ultimate buy or sell champion when the football season is over and done with. So I'll do that coming up later on this fall. My first question I asked to Wes was, Mahomes was averaging 211 points per game in the playoffs. Philly had the top pass defense. The buy or sell was, could Patrick Mahomes throw for more than 215 yards? We both bought that, saying, yeah, I think you shouldn't have a problem doing that. And hey, guess what? We were right. He threw for 257 and 3 touchdowns. If I stopped right there, if I told you on Friday going into the game, hey, I can see the future, Mahomes is going to throw for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I didn't give you anything else, said bet on the game, you'd say, well, you know what? It means the Chiefs probably win that game. Incorrect. What I left out was 2 interceptions. 2 very bad interceptions, one of them being a pick 6 that Cooper DeJean returned, and then Zach Bond pretty much immediately after that catching the one at like the Chiefs' 14-yard line that set them up for a short field to go ahead and go in there. And those last 2 touchdowns, really all 3 touchdowns came when the game was already over. I know when Xavier Worthy caught that first one, maybe there was kind of like a slight chance they might be able to come back and do something, but I don't think anybody in that stadium believed that was going to happen. So effectively, the 3 touchdowns didn't really mean a whole lot. And of course, when you're down by multiple scores, you're just going to start throwing the ball, which is what they did. And again, racked up some yards there, but we bought it without knowing how right we were about how wrong it was going to end up, if that makes sense, with Mahomes and his passing yards. Second question was, could they hold Saquon Barkley under 100 yards? He'd only been held under 100 in 2 games so far this season, and those were the 2 games they lost to the Falcons and the Buccaneers, respectively, at the beginning of the year. We actually both sold on this. We thought with how good Barkley had been against every type of team, there was no reason why he couldn't go out there and bust off another 100-plus yard game against the Chiefs. And for as much went wrong for the Chiefs, they did a pretty decent job of holding Saquon Barkley in check. He ripped off one 10-yard run, had like another 8-yard run, 89-yard run earlier on before that. For the most part, held in check. 25 carries, 57 yards, no touchdowns. Now, he did get more involved in the pass game, caught 6 balls for 40 yards, so all-purpose yards 97. But his bread and butter of just killing you on the ground and busting off 60 and 70-yard touchdown runs didn't happen. And again, for everything else that went wrong, tip of the cap to the Chiefs defense in that regard, at least, because they didn't let Saquon Barkley kill them there. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts ended up being the one that would kill them when it was all said and done. Third question. Both defenses were tied at 12th in the NFL with 13 interceptions on the season. Famously, both quarterbacks had gone since early November, since they had last thrown a pick in a game. Would we see at least one interception? Oh boy, we saw quite a few interceptions over the course of this game. 2 of them by Patrick Mahomes, and then one by Jalen Hurts early on in the game that, again, didn't really end up having too much of a factor. And I said on Friday, went back and listened to it yesterday, I thought Hurts was going to throw the interception because I thought the Eagles were going to be down. They were going to have to throw the football to make up for it, and he was going to make a mistake. Well, that's not what happened. The ones Mahomes threw weren't even in desperation at the very end. That was when Kansas City was still in the game. He was trying to make something happen, trying to get the ball to his guys, and ends up throwing the 2 picks and pretty close to each other. And one of them ends up obviously getting returned for a touchdown. But yeah, that streak of basically 2 whole months, no, really 3 whole months, if you think about it, with neither guy throwing an interception, came to an end last night. Again, the one for Jalen Hurts doesn't really end up having too much of an effect there. That just prevented them from going in and probably scoring again if that drive had continued. And the last one here, the Chiefs would be, by the way, we both bought that there would be an interception in the game, so we got that right. Last one here, the Chiefs would be down at least 7 points in the second half, down double digits in the second half to Philadelphia, as they had trailed famously by 10 points in all their Super Bowl games and had trailed by at least 7 in the second half of all their Super Bowl wins these past couple of years. So the question was, could Philly hold a double-digit lead in the second half? And we both sold on that. Oh my goodness, how wrong we were in terms of that prediction, because 24-0 at halftime, got up to 34-0 before the Chiefs finally got on the board, and ultimately ends up being a 40-22 win. So Wes and I only batted 500. We agreed on everything, but only batted 500 there to wrap up the at least football portion of buy or sell for the 2024-2025 calendar year. And we enjoy doing this on Friday, and it's even more fun when football season's going along. But we'll try and incorporate this for baseball as well as basketball as that season rolls along. But definitely going to try and keep track of this coming up in the fall and see if we can crown a 2025 buy or sell champion here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Appreciate everybody checking us out, by the way, on The Game TV, which is powered by our friends at Integrated Media and sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. You can also go online, go and download the 107.5 The Game app on iTunes or Google Play and listen to us wherever you go. Come back and wrap up today's hour of Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Some more Super Bowl thoughts. Again, maybe re-rack what we saw with commercials, halftime show, and what this means for the Chiefs going forward as we wrap up today's Gamecock Central Takeover Hour on your Monday here on The Game.
The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
This is Maggie Gray with a Sports Minute. In the end, Philadelphia's defense was too much for Patrick Mahomes to overcome. Mahomes was sacked 6 times, a career high, pressured 11 times, was baited into 2 interceptions, including a pick 6, and lost a fumble. Mahomes has accomplished more before the age of 30 than any quarterback ever, but the world was reminded that a dominant defense can make even the absolute best quarterbacks look mortal. I'm Maggie Gray.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Break up with stinky clothes.
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Oh, Downy in a rinse straight. Every now and then I rinse it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh. Fights odor in just one wash. Guaranteed.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Diesel owners know if you take care of your engine, it'll return the favor. Hot Shot secret formulates additives that help you prevent problems and boost performance. Diesel Extreme cleans internal and external injector deposits, and EDT increases fuel economy by up to 7.3%. Scientifically proven by third-party testing. Add Hot Shot secret at your next fill-up to get the most out of your diesel. Available nationwide at truck stops, farm and automotive stores, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hear that? The relaxing sound of ambient music in a yoga class. And if you were here, you'd listen to 15 people taking a deep breath in sync. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. So if you ride, get a quote today and see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. And find inner peace with a different pose called Palms on Handlebars. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
16, Mahomes rolling out, looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper DeJean, gets a block, DeJean is.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, flying solo. Again, Wes and Chris will be back in a little bit later on in the week. We'll get their thoughts on what happened at their convention. I think it's in Nashville. And obviously, whatever thoughts they have to share about the Super Bowl as well that went down last night. And that was a call, Kevin Burkhardt on Fox Sports with Cooper DeJean, the rookie defensive back for the Eagles, getting the pick six. I believe it's on his birthday as well. I know it was Saquon's birthday, but I believe DeJean also had a birthday yesterday. And what a present. First career interception in the NFL and returns it for a pick six in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. That's a fever dream of a sentence if I've ever heard one, but was a big part of helping the Eagles pick up that 18-point win against the reigning two-time champs. And I looked it up in the break. You'll not be shocked, but the Chiefs, tied with the Ravens, have the best overall odds to win next year's Super Bowl, which is going to be in Levi's Stadium once again out in Santa Clara where the 49ers play. And that's the thing. You know, I said last hour we were talking about the Chiefs and the and Don Staley's team. When a dynasty loses, it's very jarring, right? Because you're just not used to seeing those teams lose. There's a reason they're called dynasties, because they win a lot of championships and all these kind of things. And for football, I think it's even more jarring. Like basketball, you play a lot of games. Baseball, play a lot of games. Like losses happen. That's part of it. But to see a team like the Chiefs, that again have pretty much been the standard in the NFL for the last half decade, not just lose, because it's one thing. If it's a back and forth game and they lose on a last-second field goal or something along those lines, okay, whatever. That's just, hey, Eagles made a couple plays late, and that's it. To be physically manhandled for 4 quarters is surprising. Now, again, when you dive in the nuts and bolts of it with the issues that Kansas City had on its offensive line, it's not surprising because it's like, yeah, that's probably how that kind of thing is going to end up going. But we gave the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt, right? Because they always find a way. I mean, Terry and I talked about it on Friday that the vast majority of opinions around the Eagles were disrespecting them because we could look on paper. We could see how the team was built. We could see all the numbers, statistics, and all this kind of things and say, yeah, this Eagles team, it's better. It looks like it's kind of the team that's built to beat the Chiefs. But, yeah, the Chiefs will find a way. Somehow, you know, Mahomes will get the ball back with 2 minutes to go, down 4 points, and he'll lead them down for a touchdown, and we'll say, man, they did it again. They got 3-peat the whole 9 yards. That didn't happen. They didn't have a chance to do that because, again, Philadelphia imposed its will on Kansas City for 4 quarters of that game. You know, I mentioned a moment ago that if I would have told you on Friday that Mahomes would throw for 257 and 3 touchdowns and told you nothing else, you probably feel pretty comfortable saying, yeah, well, they'll probably win the game. But if I would have told you the Chiefs didn't cross the 50-yard line until, doing the math here, 43 minutes into the game. Yeah, 43 minutes into the game. There was about 2 minutes left in the third quarter before the Chiefs finally crossed the 50-yard line. You would have said, oh, well, now they're probably going to lose. And, you know, that's what happened. Because, again, I'll let you hear what Jalen Hurts had to say once again after the game. Because for as much as changed in football, one thing can still remain true.
Number one, defense wins championships. Defense wins championships. And we saw how they played today. We saw the difference they made in the game. And they gave us opportunities, gave us short fields, and we're able to do what we do.
Defense wins championships. We can change the rules of football to tilt towards the offense and all those kind of things. When you have a bright enough defensive mind like Vic Fangio, when you have a litany of great defenders, both old and young, then you're going to give yourself a chance to win regardless of how good your offense is. Now, again, last night the Eagles' offense was far better than we thought they were going to be, but the majority of that game was won by the defense, just not allowing Kansas City any time to get off the mat, any time to do anything. And that ended up putting the game out of reach pretty quickly and, again, send the Chiefs back home to go back to the drawing board and figure out what they got to do this offseason to make themselves better to where they don't end up in the same spot, losing like that coming up next year. By the way, the Eagles on this way too early odds for next year's Super Bowl, plus 700. They are tied with the Bills and the Lions in terms of best chances to win. After that, you get into the to 1 odds. The 49ers at 14-1, Bengals 16-1, Commanders and Packers 20-1. By the way, if you're curious, New York Giants, worst odds out of everyone, 250-1 to win the Super Bowl coming up next year. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to become rich off that pick if you do ultimately decide to make it. But that'll do it for football, for at least the meaningful games, the ones that count, for like the next 7 months till we get to mid-August and get a little week 0 action. Obviously got spring ball coming up here in a couple months, but what a wacky football season it's been, college and the pros, and Man, what started with Georgia Tech and Florida State out in Ireland back in mid-August, mid to late August, culminates with the Eagles picking up their second Super Bowl victory as an organization and ending Kansas City's run at a three-peat. That'll do it for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show with myself and Dimitri Urvanos. Coming up next is we'll continue to break down all things Super Bowl on your Monday here on The Game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together.